James Ethan Van Sciver up at 12:22 in the AM. Still doing what I do. Still promoting your boy Zach's incredible Jawbreakers God King graphic novel. This is the last few hours of this campaign. And so it's important. It's important that we do this. It's important that we stay up and we get this done. Let's see. Okay. You know what? I can make actual, the thing about this is I'm able to make icons. I'm able to make thumbnails for these. I should actually do that a little bit more. All right. Hello, everyone. I'll push this back a little bit for goodness sakes. Adjust things here. Yeah, your boy Zach's not here yet. I said, are you going to be up all night? He said, yeah, I'll be up. I said, okay, I'll come back in a little while. I don't know how long ago that was. I really don't know. But I tried to, why stream when Racket's streaming? What am I going to do? The campaign ends. I got to actually be here. We got to promote this. Just because Rackets is streaming right now doesn't mean that we shouldn't, or that we, I mean, obviously he's going to suck up the most people, but for goodness sakes, we got to still do this. We got to get this done. All right. So screen share, I got a bunch of stuff to talk about as well. If Zach comes in, that'll be good. If he doesn't, and that's fine. God King, the graphic novel right now. As we approach the 2-hour mark, 2 hours left of Jawbreakers God King, I just want to show you the difference here. I want to show you what we're going for. So we're at $188,131 with 4,825 backers. Now, at this same time, all right, well, 3 hours from now, with the last campaign, we hit $193,000, but with 5,362 backers. Let me go back and forth here. Hold on a second. 5,300. I don't know. How are we going to do that? How would we get to 53 from here? I'm not sure that we can. I'm pretty sure that we can get to I'm pretty sure that we can get to 193. I think that's a possibility. Wow. I guess, look, we offered some slightly more pricey. Zach offered some slightly more pricey tiers this time, perks. And so therefore, I guess it was possible for him to do that. But that's what we're looking at. It's pretty exciting. I think in 3 hours we can probably get this new campaign to 200, maybe even past that. But boy, it'd be great if Zach was here. We'll see if he shows up. In the meantime, I've got all kinds of topics to talk about to keep us moving. Comic Artist Pro Secret says Zach is counting books, not backers. So he's actually considering how many books he's sold rather than the number of backers, which I think is good too. I think that's a fine thing. Ultimately, yeah, I'm most interested in Zach making more money. I'd like him to get some more backers. The thing about Zach is that he's kind of scaling back his social media presence a little bit, and that worries me. But on the other hand, I completely get it. I mean, I'm on Twitter right now, and Twitter is absolutely mental. I mean, it is crazy, and I can feel it. I can feel the back of my eyeballs drying out from Twitter idiots. I really can. So I understand the whole idea of getting off of Twitter is probably for the best. I don't know when or if I'm ever going to be able to do it. I can't imagine me just disappearing from Twitter. Too many people would celebrate, and that bothers me. All right, so Kyle Ritter just got back to me. By the way, Kyle Ritter just turned in the colored version of the Vampirella cover. I'm going to show you what he did so far. Got 259 people watching. That is not bad. Ray from New Jersey says, nice shirt, EVS. Yeah, this is available on Crypto Fashion right now. This is the all caps comic shirt. Why do I feel like I'm crooked? I feel like everything is crooked all the time. Hold on a second. Let me see. Is it this? Because I have, I have the camera up on an easel now, or a tripod. Is there a way to make this better, or no? Or do we have to just suffer together? I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not happy about this tripod. This thing sucks, and it makes me feel like I keep fixing my hat because I'm like, it looks crooked. All right, so yeah, your camera angle is triggering my fake mental problems. I'm trying to fix it. I really am. Amateur Ant says, did they make that shirt out of a parachute? Yeah, they have to. This is definitely 5XL. 5XL shirt from me. Let's see. People want to see Andrea, and well, you don't want to see Andrea in this one. This one's too big, you know. But Andrea got a shirt in her size as well. Let's see. Are those arm guards? Yeah, these are. I have like, I don't know what it is. My elbows get sore from pushing down on the desk all day long. They just get sore, and so I have elbow pads that I wear all the time that allow me to draw for longer. Let's see. Point of personal privilege. Poorly spaced hats trigger me. All right, hold on a second. Let's look at this hat together. Is this poorly spaced, or is my head just defective? All right, so this L comes that distance. I don't know. What do you think? I can't really tell. We'll just do without it. We'll just be bald. It's no problem. Amateur Ant calls it tennis elbow. Yeah, I think that's what it is. You know, it is terrible. Oh, the I is too close to the K. Yeah. Troggy Trog says, Ethan, does your elbow pads, do they have their own Twitter account yet? Not yet, but maybe you should make them. Maybe you should make a Twitter account for them. All right, let me show you this. I'm already tired, guys. You got to excuse me. I am not used to this right now. All right, here's the, this is your boy Kyle Ritter. He colored this Vampirella cover for me. And I said to him, I said, this looks great. A couple of things that I'm concerned about. A, I want blood, because he's really good at doing blood spatter. I said, I want blood spatter all over her chesticle area. She's got blood coming out of her mouth. Just give me some like good blood effects here. I think he's going to be able to do that. But the other thing is, I feel like we need to push the honeycomb back a little bit. I feel like we need to push that back away from her head, because her head is kind of blending into it. She's blending into it, and so is the wasp. So let's push that into the background, and then I think that's good. I think we'll call that a cover. You know, yeah, the hair's too yellow. Yeah. We got to get rid of it. We got to just push that back. Bring it closer. Okay. Let me see here. Oh, okay. That's how to do it. So, can we do this again? Yeah. So, I mean, it's beautiful. He did this great. Look at the background. He did that really nice. I think the bees look good. Cyberfrog looks good. Yeah, you know, I think it looks, I love the little just of honey right here. Or this would be venom. It wouldn't really be honey, but it'd be venom. You know, nice work. As you can see, he took the black, the line work here, and he pushed it back. He made it brown. That's something that kind of, it's a Wildstorm kind of trick, I think. Really nice effects on the nose. You know, beautiful effects on the nose. Beautiful. He made her eyes look like emeralds. You know, I think that looks nice. And we zoom in on this a little bit more. Yeah, you know, can't really complain. That's the only thing, though. I want this honeycomb pushed back. It bothers me. It's way too close. You know. So we'll get this done, and then we'll get this up on. I think we'll put this up on Indiegogo tomorrow. Zach's Jawbreakers God King. The first month will be done at that point, and I think we might as well go ahead and do it. So Zach's at $188,381. I can't complain about that. As we approach what to me I think is the first goal that we need to hit tonight, we need to pass $193,279. We have to do that. So we have to pass that. And I think Zach is looking at the number of comics sold. The link is in the description, guys. If you haven't yet backed it, back it. You know, buy a copy of Jawbreakers God King tonight. Make a difference. Be a part of this. Don't miss out on the sequel. I don't look at this again. First of all, ow. See, that's what I mean. Look, my elbow hurts. That was like a sharp pain in my elbow. When I put my elbow like right down, like on the tip of my elbow, there's a sharp pain there. Oh my God. You know, I'm going to have to go to the doctor. There's something wrong. There's something actually legit wrong with my elbow at this point. And that's what happens when I draw too much. I don't know what it is. It is tennis elbow or something. All right. In any case, enough whining. This is the beautiful Kyle Ritter's artwork here. I mean, the artwork's beautiful. I don't mean Kyle's beautiful, even though he kind of is. Kyle's a beautiful fellow. This looks fantastic. This is the variant cover that you can get right here. I've already sold 794 of them, which is pretty impressive. Let's look at the tiers here. So this looks like the regular version. I guess this is the cover by me that was originally available, but I haven't even drawn the cover yet. I got to think about what it's going to be. Zach actually likes to kind of do thumbnail sketches. He does these kind of thumbnail sketches that are just stick figures. It's fine. Just kind of show me what you want, what you're picturing, and I can take it from there. You know, I don't want to be creative. I don't want to come up with my own idea for somebody else's comic when the comic isn't monthly. The comic is, you know, almost annual. You know, it's like, let's make sure that we get the kind of image that you want. And that's the way it worked last time. Zach's original sketch for Jawbreakers Lost Souls was really good. I mean, it totally described exactly what the cover should look like. And I followed it. I thought I followed it pretty closely. All right, so here you get the graphic novel with my cover on it, even though you don't know what my cover is going to look like yet. And Asashi 2.0 pinup. That's good. So you could get that. Looks like 2,854 people have claimed those. So that's 2,854 books, I guess. I guess that's what that is. You know, Tatooini says Pie Elbow is serious, Ethan. Get it checked out pronto. Yeah, I will. It sucks. I really can't stand it. I can't stand being can't stand having a problem like that. Variant cover right here. So this is the tier you can get the variant cover and Kyle Ritter's cover. And I'm telling you, this needs to be, yeah, like a metal print, or it needs to be a poster or something like that. Of course it does. You know, hold on, let me check and see if Zach's here yet. I don't know if he is. No, he isn't here. Okay. Did he just go to bed? Would he go to bed and not follow the end of his campaign? Would he actually do that? That's crazy. Loch Ness Yoshi said, Ethan, I hate to bug you, but I missed a few streams. Did the team up cover come in? No, team up cover hasn't come in. I haven't seen anything of it yet. The only thing I've seen is I've seen the chromiums. I assume, here's what I'm told. The team up cover is probably going to come out with the interiors of the two chromiums, because one printer is doing all of the interiors and probably just the regular team up cover. Okay, so that's going to be one printer. That's going to come in on the 15th. Also, the chromium covers are shipping in on the 15th. Now, the chromium covers are going to go straight to the printer that is doing the interiors. They're going to get all stapled and glued together. They're going to attach those covers. And I don't know how long that's going to take. I guess a couple days. That's going to get shipped over to me. I get to sign them, and then I get to fulfill them. I get to send them out to you guys. So I'm pretty excited about that process being underway. So I assume the team up covers just aren't a problem, and I'm going to see them this coming week. What's the 15th? Next week? I'll see them like next Wednesday or something. What is the 15th? Let me just check that on the calendar. Oh, today is the 8th, so 7 days from now. Thursday. I'm going to see him next Thursday. That's a week from now. That's very exciting. All right. Back to God King. This is absolutely awesome artwork. It's just awesome. Aaron Alfecci is he's something special. Let me zoom in on this a little bit. Yeah, this is tremendous artwork. I love this busted up car back here. You know, and this guy on the ground, and then you see the superhero just popping up. Boom, right in the chest. That shattered his sternum. Had to have. Just cracked him in half. Look at him. He caved his chest in. You know, beautiful. He hit him so hard, the concrete underneath him cracked. So that's awesome. Oh, look at that. By the way, you can get the comic book signed. You can get the comic book signed here. That's, I guess, Zach's biggest tier is $100. No, he doesn't have, you know, I'm doing a $400 tier for Vampy. For Vampy #1, I'm just going to do sketch covers. That's a pretty big tier. I mean, to actually do sketches, do Cyberfrog or Vampirella sketches on comics. $400 is going to get us pretty far. And I think a lot of people are asking me now on the Cyberfrog Blood Honey campaign. And I don't think I'm offering it here. No, I'm not. I didn't offer it on this campaign. But on the first two campaigns I did, I said, I'll do a sketch. I'll do a head sketch you know, on the inside of these books. And, you know, people thought that I was going to do just a little ink sketch on the front cover of the Chromium. And people are like, I didn't understand that there was going to be a sketch cover underneath and you were going to draw on that sketch cover. And I was like, yeah. You know, that's what it was. And so some people feel like they missed out on that. But I don't know. I guess it's kind of too late to do that. It's too late to re-offer that. But I'm going to offer it for Vampirella. I'll offer it for Vampirella #1, and we'll just do that. Vampirella #1, by the way, this cover here is going to have, first of all, it's going to be on a cardstock cover. Let me zoom out a little bit, if I could. It's going to be on a cardstock cover, but also the logo is going to be red foil. It's going to have a red foil enhanced logo. It's going to be shiny and red, which is going to make it special. None of the other Vampirella variant covers, none of the other Vampirella #1 variant covers have that. And we'll see if there's any other kind of effect that we can do with foil while we're at it. Andrea said, why not make her bikini red foil? And I said, I'd have to plan for that. I don't know. I don't know if you want to strip out the line work of this just to make that and maybe her lips red. I think that might look a little cheesy. You know, you would have to plan to do a foil bikini, you know, Vampirella costume cover. And we could do that down the road. I mean, the great thing about my variant covers is they sell better than anyone else's. A lot of people did Vampirella variant covers for Vampy #1, and I don't think any of them sold as well as mine. Did J. Scott Campbell? Maybe J. Scott Campbell did one that sold really well, you know. But mine did pretty well for Vampirella versus the Reanimator #1. Pretty damn good, almost $70,000. So we'll see what this one does. We'll offer a few more incentives, a few more, you know, things that you can get, and we'll see how it does. I'm going to launch this tomorrow. I'm thinking, should I launch it with anything else? D loves all things. Thanks for $2. Says Ethan's poor elbow can't support all the weight. I know, all the weight of the things that I know. It's a heavy burden. It's William F. Buckley said that. He said, it's hard to get out of my chair with the weight of all the things that I know. Zach is here. Is Zach here? Okay, hold on a second. Let's stop sharing. And, you know, there he is. Okay. Hey, buddy.
Am I in?
Yeah, you're in all right.
Oh, I didn't get the pop-up on Messenger, and then I just saw it, so it jumped in. So sorry about that.
That's okay. I didn't mind. I'm able to vamp. Get it, chat?
I was thinking about this, and I gotta say, over the past year or so, especially, have I done 1/20th of the things for you that you've done for me? I don't think I have.
Zach, honestly, you know what? The truth of the matter is that when I needed a friend, and this is corny. You don't like stuff like this. When I needed a friend, you were there, and you have always stood by me. You have never stuck that knife in my back when so many other people have. I'll never do that to you either. I mean, that's, you know, loyalty means a lot to me. You've never let me down, so I'm happy to help you in any way that I can. I mean, I'd like to repay favors.
I just sit there like, I was even feeling bad because I remember, I think I was the first or second person you showed Cyberfrog to, and you go, you were real, you know, humble. What do you think? I go, the art's good, but he's a monster and he's not my thing.
You go, it's not for me. It's not for me. This isn't the kind of thing that I, you know.
The art's fantastic, especially the way you draw women has just skyrocketed, even in the last like 2 years.
Oh, I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm finding that I have to do it more and more. You know, and Andrea came down today. She's looking at some new pages for Cyberfrog. I spent the day working on Cyberfrog stuff. You know, I had that talk. I had a talk with you know who gave me a lecture and just said, look, and sat me down and said, you know, he's like, I'm a big fan, and this is someone I trust. You know, the chat doesn't know who we're talking about. This is someone who I trust, I respect. He said, you know, I'm a big fan of yours, and he's like, you're gonna think I'm kidding when I say this, but you're one of the most important artists in comics of this generation, and to see you not working to your potential right now hurts my heart. And he said, I'm only telling you this because I'm your friend. I can see in you sometimes that you get demoralized and you don't want to draw and you'd rather do anything but draw. He's like, snap out of it. You need to draw. You're important. You need to draw. And like just like that, he's like, snap out of it. You need to draw. And, you know, not draw because it's like, oh, it's about making money or anything like that, but draw because we all have a limited time, don't we?
Yeah, definitely.
You really, at this point, I'm 44 years old. I hope to live to be 80, but you never know how much time you have. And, I want to finish my Cyberfrog story. That's definitely important.
80? No, that's it?
Yeah, I don't want to live past 80. Do you? You do?
I go back and forth. Sometimes I think about it and I see people who are 80 and they go, that seems like a good time to check out. But you know who probably doesn't think that?
Who?
People who are 80.
Yeah. When you get there, see, that's the thing. When I was like 17, I went, I'll be 40 and that's it. I'm ready to check out after 40. Like after 40, you're gross, 40 just, 40 meant nothing. So I'll probably get to 80 and want to live on past that. But that's, again, that, living to be 80 is a blessing. You don't know if you're going to get that far. So we want to tell as many stories as we can, while we still have our eyesight, while, I can still hold my hand steady without a tremor, all of these things. You can't take this time in your youth for granted. And I do have stories to tell. And I can be glib and just be like, you know what? And I've said it recently. I've been like, I'm done doing comics. I'll do a comic a year. It's not a big deal to me. I prefer doing YouTube. I like talking. Of course I do. It requires very little work and it's fun. Drawing comics isn't always fun. You would think that it would be. But when you've done it for 25 years, there are times when it's not fun. There are times where you have to get up and draw when you don't want to. And you end up drawing things that aren't very good. And, those things just seem to be I've done bad artwork, Zach, that like people will bring up as though that's my legacy. It's like you still have to get up and draw, even if you don't want to, and you produce something that's bad and then it haunts you. But you still have to do it, I'd rather not, in a way. It's like I'd rather just take my time, enjoy it. But I do need to get work done. I do need to get this story done.
I'm still surprised you said Rainbow Brute, the Brute, whatever it's called. You said that's going to be a one-shot? I don't think it's going to be. I think it's going to be a franchise.
Somebody else said that to me too. Somebody said that's a multimedia franchise. So
anything you draw that I don't want to shoot with a rocket launcher, that's a franchise.
Why would you want to shoot this? You got to get to know Cyberfrog. I think he's my mom loves Cyberfrog. My mom was so excited when I said I was bringing back Cyberfrog. She was just like, oh, I miss the frog. She calls him the frog. So I'm going to send her a copy of this as soon as I can get. I could send her a galley copy, I guess. I just want to send her a shiny one. My mom would get confused by a galley copy. She would get this and she would be like, I couldn't you just put a cover on it? Couldn't there be like a drawing or something? Like, why is it? And then I would send her the shiny one and she'd be like, so this is a different, how come it's the same thing inside? Like, it would confuse my mom. So I'll just wait. Did you like Salamandroid in this though?
Yeah, I love Salamandroid, and I think it's because he's big. When he's big, it becomes like a King Kong Godzilla thing. It's cool that he's big. But I can imagine like walking into a room and Cyberfrog is just like lurking in the corner and just scaring the shit out of me. Ah.
Well, that's his problem. That's his main problem is he does.
But I feel like Salamandroid, he makes those like friendly sounds like the Iron Giant. He's probably like, ooh, like the whale sounds and stuff. Very friendly.
Yeah, I had a Great Dane, named Ace, and Great Danes don't live very long. The poor dog only lived to be 8 years old, but he was an enormous. Like, if you saw him and you didn't understand what a Great Dane was, you might be scared of this dog. But they're enormous, friendly giants. And I think, Ace, my Great Dane, was kind of the inspiration for the behavior of Salamandroid in a way. Doesn't really want anything, just wants you to like him. Is he doing okay? Is he doing okay by you? Is he your friend? That's kind of how Salamandroid is. And at the same time, another big inspiration for that character is that he just rushes headlong into battle. He fights for what's right, and he can take a beating. You'll see him with stingers coming out of him, just like a dozen stingers, and you could tell like that venom is ripping him up inside, but he's still going to fight. Not because he's a warrior, but because that's what his job is. He's got to do this. He's got to fight for what's right. I think I've created two really good heroes. and they're different. They're brothers, but they're different, and they have different goals and aims. If only I was a good writer, if only I was a better writer. I really feel like I've set these characters up to last a long, long time. And I mean, you must feel that way about your own characters when you're working on Jawbreakers, Lost Souls, and God King. At this point now, you've revisited your own characters how many times? 5 or 6 different stories?
Yeah.
Do you feel like you know them?
Very well. Yeah, absolutely.
Are they based on anyone?
Well, yeah, a lot of them are based on different aspects of my own personality, and then they're combinations of friends I have from the military.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, you must, when you're writing these stories, do you think, yeah, well, this guy would choose to do this in this situation, and it's something that I would never do, but that's who this guy is.
Well, actually, what happens with that sometimes is sometimes I'll have like the kind of like the broad strokes, but then when I start to describe the panel more, I go, wait a minute, Silkworm's not a nice guy. He wouldn't have been trying to save this person. He would have been saying, who's going to pay us? Cuffs would have been the one saying, we got to do this, the right thing. So I did that with a recent story. I had just Silkworm just being like a generic good guy, and I was like, wait, what am I doing? I'm confusing these characters.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that, like, they live in your head and you realize, broadly, like, what their positions would be, and I mean, do you hear their voices? Do you know what they sound like?
I mean, a lot of them are just based on actors, like visually, so I hear like that actor's of voice. But probably the biggest mystery to me is like how they look, because I drew them when I created them, and they all kind of looked the same. They all had the same body, and then other artists draw them and they all give different takes, and I try to figure out which one is like. I used to draw Hell Priest, and he was jacked. He looked like John Cena. And then other people draw him all skinny, and that seems probably more accurate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then Aaron draws Silkworm. He's just like the Rock, and that actually looks kind of probably ideal to me. But then I also like Kyle Ritter's kind of more, lean version. So
yeah, everybody draws them differently, but at this point, what's fantastic about what you've done is that within this fandom, Comicsgate, and everybody kind of acquainted with Comicsgate, people know these characters now. I mean, this beard, not beard, this kind of mustache thing. This guy, that's iconic. I mean, you see that, and I mean, it's distinctive enough that it translates well between several different artists. It's familiar, and at this point, we know these guys. So
I've been putting that. I don't even know what that is. That weird like half of a goatee. I've been putting that on designs since the 1990s.
Really?
Yeah. Like,
where did that come from?
Actually, no, I do remember where it came from. It came from this book called Black Ops. Oh, written by Sean Burry and drawn by Dan Norton. There was a main character who had kind of that facial hair, not exactly.
So you admired Sean Burry.
It was Dan Norton. Dan Norton was like, he was looking to be the next big thing for like a year or so there. Do you remember Dan Norton?
Yeah. I remember him. I thought he was pretty good. You know who I thought was going to be the next big thing? At Wildstorm, the guy who drew Brass. Do you remember Brass?
That's exactly what I was going to say. It was Bennett something, right?
Yeah, Bennett, Richard Bennett.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Jesus, that guy was good. And I don't know how long that book took, but I bought the oversized version of it.
Yep, the black and white oversized. That one thing was freaking beautiful.
That sat on my desk, and I was just like, I am never going to be a technical artist like this guy is. I would love to be. I just had it open all the time when I was drawing Cyberfrog or Salamandroid, like just copying different gears and rivets. And wow, was that excellent. And I think that guy probably burned out. I don't know where Richard Bennett went.
Yeah, I'm gonna look him up. I know he did like some Uncanny X-Men with Scott Lobdell, kind of like big deals, but he must have burnt out. I mean, how many days was he spending per page? A week, maybe.
A week, maybe 2 weeks in some cases. Hey, Jay Gatt just sent over a $2 super chat. He says, Zach's video saved me 2 years ago after my divorce.
Wow.
I'd kind of like to hear more about that, honestly. Divorce kind of interests me. I mean, divorce does interest me. I went through it, and now I'm healed from it. But divorce was horrible. And whenever I hear someone is going through a divorce, when you used to hear that somebody was going through a divorce, you used to kind of be like, "Oh, that's awful, man." But when you've been through a divorce, you're like, "Yeah, I know what you mean." So the idea that this guy had to endure basically separating from everything that was familiar, everything that represented home, family, and love, and he survived it by watching your videos. That's a pretty big compliment.
Yeah, definitely.
So
I
good
had
on you.
one the other day. The woman said she was a widow and she lost her husband, and then she just started getting into comics. I was shocked by that one.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what comics are for, though. They really are. What when you call them escapism, what the hell do we mean? I mean, we can be glib about it and say, well, comics are good escapism from the harsh realities of things that annoy us, like politics on TV, our fear that the world is going to hell in a handbasket, and what can we do about it, and all these things. And that's true for some people, but some people actually use comics to escape from actual, real big, horrible problems that they need a distraction from. And that's another big privilege of what we do. That's uh, something to be proud of. And that's somebody is going to buy God King tonight, and somebody's going to get it and read it and just be able to stop thinking about whatever's bothering them, whatever hurt them, or whatever. And comics are important for that. It pisses me off so bad that comics have become nothing but a receptacle for fucking weirdos to preach bullshit through when
Yeah,
people actually need them.
I did the Absolute Carnage #1 review earlier today, and Donny Cates like absolutely defamed you like 3 days ago. It's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
yeah,
And it was this thing where I reviewed it, and I did a thing at the beginning, and I said like, this is ridiculous, stop doing this type of stuff. And then the book itself is fantastic, it's absolutely fantastic, but in my opinion Donnie has like semi ruined his own work by being, some people were saying yeah it's good, but like that's a big matzo ball, as they say. You can't just be like, I'm the guy who defames people as the worst thing in the world, and then here's my cool Spider-Man book. Like, I kept being drawn out of it like every 5 pages, remembering it's like, what the hell, like who
yeah.
does stuff like this? It's ridiculous.
I never wanted this to happen to me over comics, and I've had to get like a real thick skin. I'm sure that you have too. But I mean, I considered my job to be kind of flimsy, whimsical. I considered it to be lightweight and not that important, and I devoted my life to it anyway. To drawing comics. I chose when I was 12. I chose to do comics. I never really realized that 25 years on, in my 40s, the industry was going to have a nervous breakdown over one single election. They
Yeah,
were
that,
going
that
to,
really is what it is. And then it becomes like this like cascading effect. 6 months ago Donny Cates was normal.
yeah.
Now he's a maniac saying stuff that no one would ever say to your face. You would just be stupid. Like, there's boogeymen, and there's pressure, and like I said, he's disrespected his own work and art and creation by being, oh, so now you're just like all these other people. Like, there's nothing unique about you, and it's broken that wall,
Hmm.
of, hey, I got something cool. Here it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, that now a lot of people are going to look at him that way. I don't even know who he is. I mean, the weird thing about this is that, when it came to me being in comics and dealing with other professionals, I mostly dealt with people who were already established. So, most of my friends and the people who I was working with either got into comics at the same time I did, like Jeff Johns, or they were already there, and they'd already become legends in and of them, their own work. And so I knew a lot of people who were established. I don't know who the fuck Donny Cates is. To me, he's like some 20-year-old that popped in a few years ago. I don't know who he is. No, I don't read Marvel comics. Like you do. I don't read them. So this guy, I don't think I've ever met him. But it turns out, a few years ago, maybe like 2016, I was wondering what I was going to do next, you know, after Green Lantern or something. And he said, just leave Green Lantern or whatever it was, and let's do something together, you and me, on Twitter. And you know how many times people say stuff like that to me? I mean, even now, you know, it's like, I don't, you know, I get that all the time. I didn't know who he was. He was a nobody to me. So I just ignored him. And it's like 2 years later, he's out there calling me a Nazi. I'm not a Nazi, Zach, you know.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where, like, if you walk this backward, there's no, like, it's obviously at some point he just got shark attacked by, hey, well, whose side are you on? Whose side are you on?
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, you're not on a playground, like, you're a professional, and it just makes you're ruining your own work and with this stupidity.
I'm watching this happen now with people on Twitter who, you know, were formerly Comicsgate, and they're doing the same kind of pressure. They're like, people who are, and I actually saw one of them literally say this. He said, people who are friends with people who dox and harass are trash. And so I'm like, wow, is that familiar language? And that's coming from someone that's close to Comicsgate. That is familiar language. That is the kind of peer pressure that is aimed at turning dumb people into lunatics. You know, it's like, well, I'm not trash. Are you telling me that, you know, if I am friends with this person or this person, my worth, my value in your eyes decreases to the point where you consider me to be refuse? Well, I don't want that to happen.
But it got Alyssa Wong hired at Marvel. Like you said, she negged CB Cebulski. I was like, oh my gosh, that's so exactly what happened. It's so obvious once you think about it.
Yeah, negging is for those in the chat who don't know, it's what pickup artists do. It's how to get
pickup artist. So it's so, and you're right. It's something that would only dummies would be like. It's like, hey, CB Cebulski, you're a racist and you hate women. Oh, I'm not a racist and I don't hate women. I'll hire a woman who isn't white. You're right in front of me. What an amazing coincidence. Oh, no, I wasn't talking about myself, CB Cebulski, you racist.
Yeah. Yeah, well,
in general.
But I mean, this is the thing. Like, there's also this sense of, how can I quiet down this person in front of me who's making accusations about me that I don't think are true, but what if they are? And I'm tired of feeling bad. So let me quiet this person down by appeasing them. And this is kind of what SJWs do. This is how they get by. This is how they succeed.
They don't human well, but they know that most people do human well. If you say who stinks, everyone's gonna, you know, do the little pit check. Oh,
yeah.
I don't stink. No, I shower. I did shower, right? No, I don't know. Meanwhile, no one actually stinks. The SJWs just figured out a way to make everyone feel bad.
Yeah. If you seriously, that's a great way to look at it. You know, it's, again, if you actually do say that, like, somebody smells, like, you go, oh my God, is it me? You know, it's like, and you just double check. But that is human psychology 101, and that's what they've mastered. So that is you know, we see that going on now. I think that kind of peer pressure has helped turn or bend much of the comic book industry to the will of really mentally ill, as Edwin Boyette would say, disordered people.
That's one of the things. It's like, you know, I feel it happen to myself, and I got to snap back. I mean, I'll be choosing my words like, oh, I can't say that because someone who already hates me and who is mentally ill could misconstrue that. But I can literally say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and some psycho will say 3 and 5 were that's the unit that Hitler was in World War I.
Yeah.
That happened to you when you said your book was 88 pages.
It just happened to Trump. Here's the thing. And Andrea pointed this out. She's like, you and Donald Trump go through the same shit at the same time. And it's really weird. So I said, yeah, my book is 88 pages long. And people went, that's a signal. That's a dog whistle to white nationalists, because 88 is HH, like the H is the 8th letter of the alphabet. And that stands for Heil Hitler. So when Ethan makes his comic book, like, I'm drawing 40 extra pages of comic. to salute Hitler very subtly to a select group of people. That's insane. Now, also today, Donald Trump, somebody came out. Donald Trump is like, he's got the flags at half mast in Washington, D.C. for the victims of the shootings. And he said they're going to stay at half mast until August 8th, which is tomorrow, so they're going to stay. Somebody went August 8th, 8/8. It's a white nationalist dog whistle from the president.
And this is Donnie Cates. This is who Donnie Cates has decided these are the people to listen to.
Well, again, first of all, here's the thing. Hatred feels good. It's like candy. It feels good, but it's really bad for you.
Yeah, sanctimony.
The sanctimony, but also just being allowed to vent. Now, that hate is wrong. You know that you're not supposed to just give in to hate and let loose. You're told that and you believe it. But what if somebody gives you somebody that you're allowed to hate? What if you call people Nazis? What if, of course, everybody hates Nazis. What if you just assign the title of Nazi to just random people that are politically inconvenient to you? Then you're allowed to hate them. And it feels good. It feels good to just hate every single day. It feels good to get together and just hate individuals.
Hey, so speaking of disordered, I was going to make a video on this, and this actually might be something good to go through. If you Google ICV2 and Mark Wade from today, you'll probably find the article really quickly. He gives his plan for what humanoids is doing, and I've got to say that the truth is probably better than the lie, because the lie is completely idiotic.
Do you want me to look it up?
Yeah, you're going to love it. It's a short article, too, so it gets right to the stupidity very quickly. He basically says that, yeah, we don't really care about sales. And somebody predicted this. This is the next thing they were going to say. We don't care about sales. This isn't about American sales. He's saying they created books in America starring American characters for the European market. And as someone who lived in Europe, and especially if there's any Europeans in this chat, they will know how absolutely insane that is.
All right, let's have a look at this. We'll go through it. ICV2. Look at these three faces right here. Oh my God, we're in a sinking ship right here. And then over here we got, what are you going to do about it? I'm evil. What are you going to do about it? Okay, you midget. We're designed to be dangerous. Mark Wade for humanoids, creative and market vision for the H1 line. Oh, dear God. All right, I'm going to read this, Zach. And you stop me, okay, when you have a comment.
Okay.
And by the way, you are over 190,000. And let me just take a minute to point something out. So here's the first goal that we got to hit tonight. All right, first goal that we got to hit tonight is we got to pass this number right here, $193,279. That's the first time that we're going to celebrate tonight. Okay, that's important because we want to see you pass what you did before, right? So you hitting 190 right now, 190,000 and $131 is pretty substantial. Those of you who are in the chat who haven't yet backed Jawbreakers God King, do it. Do it for Zach. Make it happen. Let's get him. Let's push him past that 193,000 point. If you backed him before, back him again. Buy another copy. For goodness sakes, let's get this. I shouldn't say that. They'll be like, they're buying multiple copies. Yes, they are. And then sometimes that's a good thing. Let's get him past. Let's get him past that $193,279 mark. I think that will be. They'll be great.
I gotta tell you, something that still pisses me off like a year later is Rich Johnson. He ignored Lost Souls forever. Mm-hmm. And then when he wrote about it, he says that he tried to dismiss it by implying like I had a really low amount of backers, but everyone was buying like 10 books.
Yeah.
And then I hit him up about it. He's like, well, I did a cursory inspection and that's what I saw. Like, no, I have personally fulfilled thousands. And yes, there are some people who buy several. Yeah. But the overwhelming majority buys one each.
Yeah. I'm of course. And I found that on my own. Like I'm like, well, I wonder how many people are backing Cyberfrog at a super high level. And when I actually go through it, it's like, no, most people just are buying the comic. They're paying $25 for the comic book, and that's
Rich
almost.
Johnson would say that McDonald's is a business that sells pickle sandwiches. And then when you said, God, Rich, that's not true. He's like, go buy a burger. There's 2 pieces of bread and there's 2 pickles in between. Pickle sandwich. Prove me wrong. You're like, I freaking hate you so much. I hate everything about you.
I really don't like Rich Johnson either. I find him to be diabolical. But okay, so here we go. Let's go back to this article here. Guys, back God King. While we're doing this, we're going to go through Mark Waid's creative and market vision for the H1 line. Oh, geez, just drive it right into the side of a mountain. Until recently, should I do this voice through this whole article? Is it?
Well, you might want to skim a little bit because they just do some boring stuff talking about, like, it's best to just skip to the actual interview with Mark and
here we go.
Jill.
Okay. So Mark, how did you get involved with humanoids? And here's Mark Waid. I was drawn in by my good friend Judd Myers, who had just been hired as their head of marketing and sales. They already had a plan sketched out and were looking for someone to write Ignited. I said I'd do it with a co-writer to give me a fresh perspective, and they thought that sounded good. I had lunch with CEO and publisher Fabrice Geiger a few times, and it was clear that there was more we could do together. That's when I came on board as Director of Creative Development. Is that a staff position? No. Sorry. No, but I give him a few days a week, and I'm on call to put out fires. Can you imagine Mark Waid, the fireman?
No, sometimes they do that. They'll fire people will light a fire because that sucks the oxygen from the smaller fire. We like they're like, hey Mark, we have this empty conference room. We need you to flop around and have a tantrum in. It'll make everyone else look more mature by comparison.
Yeah, that's pretty much. I mean, for the most part, though, Mark Waid is the one who is on fire, and other people need to put him out.
So a couple of things I want to point out is I've noticed him do this. He does this all the time, and it's a very it's kind of like this oily thing from like Vegas. It's like, my good friend. Mark Waid hates people. He actually hates human beings, but he always does this thing, my good friend, because it's this little extra little brag. I'm on the right side of history. I'm in with the media. Let me tell you about my good friend Judd Myers. Yeah, I'm sure they're like hitting the bars every weekend.
Yeah. And on the other hand, if he were to say my good friend Kwanzaa Osei-Jeffo, he'd mean my ally.
Well, the other thing is that there's been some kind of reverse engineering to figure out what it is. It looks like originally this Fabrice guy, I'm just going to call him Fabrice, he comes over and he hired Kwanzaa, this Carlos Speed McNeil, and then this one artist who's pretty good. I forget his name. And it was obviously let me just grab 3 people that are cheap type of thing, affordable. But then he realized, oh God, what have I done? So then they went to go hire Mark Waid. Mark Waid was hired because they've even shown, like, it was like April of last year where they created the storybook for the universe, and then Mark came several weeks or several months later. So the idea is that he was just chit-chatting with his good friend. No. They already had it, and then they basically had like this dog's breakfast of Trump derangement syndrome, because the original Ignited solicits were just like generic superhero universe, people get powers. The whole school shooting thing came like 6 months later.
Yeah. Isn't that weird? Isn't that? That's interesting. So they
and we're going to see later that it's their lie is so much worse than the truth. The truth is just they want a Netflix deal, but they make this ridiculous lie that all the Europeans are going to just start freaking out when they see what he says.
Okay. All right. Let me see this. All right. So tell me about some of the H1 books. In a nutshell, Ignited, written by Waid and Kwanzaa Osei-Jeffo with art by Phil Briones, explores what would happen if the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas school shooting kids had superpowers and could fight back against the conditions that make those things all too frequent. That's unfortunately topical. That's part of what we were going for. It's not a superhero story as much as it is about empowerment. It's about what people can do to change their world.
Okay, so I've actually read his books, and they are literally pro-terrorism pamphlets. It is literally the kids attacking anyone who says or thinks someone they don't like. The teacher's like, maybe we should arm the teachers. So then they basically attacked not just the principal, but the whole faculty. Then later, some students went out into the parking lot, and they were basically saying, hey, we support arming the teachers. So they went out there and basically did, or it's hard to explain, origami shrapnel, and started making all the students bleed. Then the cops came in because of multiple terror attacks by these psychopaths. And then what did they do? They attacked the cops and injured them. There was also a side character who went to a random gun store and just started disassembling all of the product that the old man who owns the place had to sell. Destroyed his entire business.
Wow. What heroes?
And then, so I had in my head that there's like this one easy out. If they say, troubled, empowered teens, you go, okay, fine. They're teens. They're trying to figure out the world. But Mark Waid, pushing 60, very specifically calls them heroes.
Oh, what a disgrace to his entire legacy as a superhero writer.
It's just disturbed, in my opinion.
There's something wrong, right? Yeah. There's got to be. All right, so go figure. Strangelands, written by Mags Visaggio and Darcy Little Badger. Why do they all have names like that? Darcy?
Because they were hired because of their name and identity. You should see the characters in this. Like everyone is like Isai, Anouk, and it's literally just like a blonde white girl in Phoenix, Arizona. Nobody's named Anouk in Phoenix, Arizona. It's just like everyone has to be like and then they describe this other guy. He's like, he's a Jewish Lebanese immigrant who lives the lifestyle of people of that type. Like that was literally his bio in his little file card.
I don't know why. Where do you find these people? Everybody wants attention. I think that's what it is. Like people really want to stand out, and so they just invent these identities for themselves. They color their hair and call themselves, Anouk, whatever. It's interesting. It's like everyone is desperate for attention, and nobody has ever told them no. We have to bring back corporal punishment, Zach.
But they did ask to not refer to people as guys or have side chatter in the auditorium.
I don't know. I don't know how you fix that when it wasn't fixed at home. I don't know what you do. But this kind of, in order to stop this from happening, it has to begin at home. Parents, where are you? What are the parents doing? I mean, the parents are the 50-year-olds. The parents of these people are the Mark Waids, of society. That's their age group. I mean, my kid is 20 years old. So my generation at most has a 20-year-old. They don't really have 30-year-olds. And I think 30-year-olds are the problem right now. I think these SJWs that, what do you think, Zach? Am I off on that? Are we talking about people just out of college?
I mean, it's just all different ages because you look at some of these people in their 20 and they're acting like this, but Mark Waid's pushing 60 and he's acting like this. The commonality is just Trump derangement syndrome. It all goes back to that.
But Mark Waid is extremely immature. I mean, the thing about Mark Waid.
That's a really good point. Yeah,
he's 14 years old. Remember one thing, Mark Waid graduated high school at 14. They skipped him ahead. It was probably the worst thing they could do for him. Yeah,
failing people, holding them back or skipping them ahead. I've never seen those people turn out adjusted.
Mm-hmm. So he's right now, it's like he had to be 14 years old around 20-year-olds, 19, 20-year-olds as his peers. You don't even have pubes yet. You know what I mean? And you're around people who are, sneaking drinks, having sex. Do you become a little tattletale? Do you become a little shithead? Probably. Probably. Mark Waid, I don't think he counts as a normal 60-year-old. I think he's still 14. He's pretty much a very smart 14-year-old. And that's the problem. All right. So let me try to get my Mark Waid voice back. It's about two strangers who discover they have superpowers, but can only use them if they are a certain physical distance from each other. They're traveling the world, trying to find out what's happened to them. It's an adventure story with romantic comedy overtones. Good luck with Max doing that. Omni, written by my ex-girlfriend Devin Grayson. Art by Alitha Martinez. It's about an African-American woman doctor. Cecilia Covina. This is the badass SJW, isn't it?
Yeah, before she got her powers.
Okay. But I mean, I saw the ad for this and it said badass SJW. SJWs love that phrase badass. You know?
Yeah, because it allows them to curse, but you can kind of say badass anywhere. Like you can say that in a sitcom that shows at like 7 p.m. You can say badass.
Mm-hmm. Well, no, but they describe women, a certain type of woman as badass. Like they never say Rambo's badass. They'd never say that. They would say a nerdy woman who doesn't need no man and is into the science. You know what I mean? And they all look exactly like this. By the way, I don't know what this is, but there are a lot of female black comic book characters, and whenever they're designed, they have their hair up in one round bun or two round buns like Mickey Mouse. And I've had to draw characters like that on three different occasions. And it's like, that's the weirdest thing. Why do they, I've never seen, well, I mean, now I'm sure I'm going to meet one, but I've never actually met a black girl with Mickey Mouse hair.
I know why they do this, because they need someone to be visually ethnic or minority from across the street. One time Kwanzaa was roasting Jawbreakers and he's like 5 white guys and people were talking about, this guy's Asian, this guy's black, and then this guy's gay. He's like, well, you can't tell. So their whole thing is like 90% of the black women I've seen in my life have straightened hair. And it's just, hairdo, brush your hair, whatever. But it's got to be like, this is a black woman. Her skin is black. Her hair is black woman. So she's black. So that that me, Mark Wade, I am a good person. Don't cancel me.
Somebody in the chat points out that they think that badass actually refers to prolapsed anuses. I don't think that's correct. I don't think that's what they mean. All right. So this person, Cecilia Covina, who becomes empowered with a kind of super intelligence. Not just the ability to reason and calculate, but all forms of intelligence, including strategic thinking, visual and verbal intelligence, emotional intelligence. She's also traveling the world trying to figure out what's going on. So this is a connected world with a story that's going to come together at some point? Right, until we're canceled. You don't need to read all the books to know what's going on, but they are part of a cohesive narrative that we'll pull together by the end of the year. Humanoids has been present in the U.S. market for decades, mostly as an importer of European material. Now it looks like they're making a much broader push into North America. Where does what you're doing fit in the overall plan? It's a part of what they're doing. My role in H1's books is a consultancy as much as anything else. The bigger picture is bringing in new projects from new writers with a fresh perspective. An original graphic novel material that no one else is doing. Western, sci-fi, fantasy, biography, nonfiction, anything but costume superheroes. It's just not the small focus on a contained universe, which is great, but the broader spectrum of working in a form of the medium that's fairly new to me. I'm here to help people tell their stories the best way possible in our medium.
Do you remember in school when you're like, we're given the the presentation in class today? You're like, I thought it was next Tuesday.
Yeah,
it's just babbling. First of all, he hasn't brought in anyone except for his ex-girlfriend to replace a black woman who is apparently fired. He's even said that he was brought in after the team was created. So none of this is consistent, and it's just babbling. No,
it sounds like Gail talking about Lion Forge. True or false?
Oh my gosh, I tried to do like a video on that, but the Lion Forge sales are so low that they fall off the bottom of the sales figures for Comic-Con. So you can't even consistently track them from month to month.
Yeah. It's embarrassing. It's so awful. What did she do? She just took their money.
She took their money and then pretended to love the things, and that like she didn't even know what the characters were. It's like a Bart Simpson book report. It's like, and then here's this comic about This guy who's next to this woman, they're amazing.
These people say that we don't do anything for the comic book industry because we don't, our books aren't in the direct market. But you have leaders of the SJW movement in comics that are literally just taking money from companies that can barely afford toilet paper for their offices.
Oh yeah, poverty beyond poverty. And the other thing is, like, it's just so weird about SJWs is they have, and we're going to see this, they have no embarrassment at failure.
Mm-mm.
If you made $200,000 off of Rainbow the Brute, how would you feel?
Well, I'd be happy about that. I mean, that'd be great.
Over 6 months.
Oh, over 6 months? No, that wouldn't be so great. I could do better than that. I'd wonder
how
why.
would you feel? And then everyone's like, "What's the deal? Cyberfrog made 800,000. What's up with Rainbow the Brute?"
Yeah.
What if it made 100,000?
Oh, I'd do some introspection. Sure.
Well, okay, so you're not an SJW because you could do 10,000, and they would say, "Hey, at least the book came out." Gotcha.
Yeah, they do that, don't they? Yeah. Well, my book came out. I put out 8 books in the time it took Cyberfrog to come out. $8. And that's part of the problem. That's part of the problem that we're addressing. By the way, let's take a look at Jawbreakers God King real quick here. It was at 190, 131. Boom, 191, 661.
Wait, what?
We are so close.
What
now.
just happened?
Well,
Did this just go up $1,000 in like 10 minutes?
Yes, yeah. It did.
No, it went up like 1,400. Okay, so you're gonna get a little bothered at me when you started like pumping it up. Like, let's hit this. I looked at how many people in it. I go, dude, it's like 1:30 in the morning. There's like 700 people in the chat. Like, there's no freaking chance. We've like closed like half of the distance.
Yeah.
And we still have what, like an hour and a half left?
Yeah, well, there are 1,200 people watching now, and
oh my
probably,
gosh, wow.
Yeah, probably. Here's the thing, by the way, we're streaming and competing with Nick Rekieta, which I shouldn't say because people will all go over to his his show now. But we're doing pretty well. I mean, actually having 1,200 people almost in the chat concurrent with Nick Rekieta says a lot about our appeal, Zach.
People were roasting me. They're like, you went on Nick Rekieta and you talked about how you don't like anime. Do you understand whose house you were in? It's like, oh, I forgot about that. I still remember Nick Rekieta from like a year and change ago where he's like, hey, do you want to talk about this Mark Waid thing? I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. Some lawyer guy somewhere.
Yeah, well, I mean, first of all, he does seem to know something about anime, that which is impressive. Like a lot of people, look, I would love to get on that Kick Vic train, but I really truly hate the people that I've seen that are, saying horrible things about Vic. But then they'd say, yeah, well, this person plays Bulma. And I'd be like, well, who the fuck's Bulma? Like, I don't know who any of these characters are. So
it's even worse because it's not like there's Spider-Man and you just learn like the cast. The cast of all these shows have like 60 characters and you got to know all of them. But then they all change. Imagine if Spider-Man became like Daredevil. But then there was Team Daredevil. But then oh my God, there's no way. If you didn't jump in on this when you were like a kid, you can't jump into this, like learn about this stuff.
No, you really can't. You have to truly love it. You can't fake it. 191, 906.
What the hell?
I would love to go. Honestly, I'd love to fight those SJWs. I really would, because I think they're really funny. I mean, they're worse than Renfamous.
No, sorry. I said what the hell is it's almost at 192,000.
Oh yeah. Zach, we're gonna get there. I mean, people love you in the chat, and they're going to push you. Because I said earlier on, I said, look, here's the first thing we got to do. We're at 191, 906. We want to get as early as possible. We want to beat the original 1 month total, and this was huge, 193, 279. That was your first month, and I remember going through this with you, and being like every day, like being like, damn, I don't believe it. Thinking, oh my God, you're gonna get to 190. Oh my, like that was incredible back then. And of course, little did we dream that this was gonna get pushed all the way to 404. Little did we dream that Cyberfrog was gonna do in 2 months 538,000. This was just this was crazy for us. We had very small expectations. I remember you on your first day making $40,000. And you were giddy.
Oh yeah.
You're like, woo! Like you couldn't believe how great it was.
Because at that time, I think that was more than I had spent, and that looked like to be like more of than the budget, because it was only going to be 50 pages originally. So I was like, that's the whole thing. Everything after this is profit. Wow.
Yeah.
But the other thing I wanted to say about this is that each campaign I've tried a kind of a Goldilocks, this porridge is too hot, this porridge is too cold. So this was heavy promotion, constantly talking about it. Whereas I said I want to try kind of a lighter promotion on God King, because one of the things I'm looking at is Brian Pulido, and I think if things get pumped up too much, that's going to exhaust some people, and I worry that people are going to dip out. I kind of like the Brian Pulido model, which is more of like predictable, and he has these really big opening, and then he has a ton of extras. Like I made fun of that, and then I saw how much money it makes, and I go, oh.
Zach, but let me just counter argue for a second. First of all, the Brian Pulido model relies on a staff of about 8 people.
That's a good point.
That's the first thing. The second thing is he actually has to offer. He's got to make and produce all of those. He's got guitar picks and keychains and all kinds of knickknacks that cost serious money. I know
that's a better word. I've been saying tchotchkes. I'm just waiting to get hit with a cultural appropriation.
Well, all my stuff is corny. I mean, knickknacks is something your grandma would say,
Yeah.
But I also call people nitwits, and stuff like that. Flibberty gibbet I pulled out the other day, which I thought was pretty good. Look, that stuff's expensive. His campaigns are big and they're kind of confusing. One thing that you did was that you streamlined your campaigns and kept them simple and still kicked their asses. You said early on to me, you said, one of my biggest mistakes was that, I offered too much stuff and I confused people. So here's what I'm doing. I'm doing the book and the poster. Boom, that's it. And then we added some stuff. We said it doesn't make sense not to sign them. It doesn't make sense not to offer, other variants of this.
Yeah.
But even simplicity brought you. Brian Pulido hasn't matched this.
No, so Brian Pulido, not to throw shade on him or anything, but like he'll get like 2,500, 2,600 backers, but then he'll make $300,000 off of it. But like you said, there's probably a lot more expenses that we don't know about with staff and all that type of stuff.
Yeah. And I mean, that's something to realize. If you can actually fulfill one of these campaigns by yourself, good for you. I'm not sure that creatively that's what I want to do, even though it would mean I get to keep more of this money. I would rather move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
Hey, Elliot's here. He says, just backed. Congrats, Zach. Elliot Fernandez.
Oh, great.
Thank you, Elliot. Let me read a couple of these super chats. They're coming in pretty big here. Sharu, thanks for $20. Millennial adults in their 20s that have yet to grow up are fueling this SJW craze. They're innocent and naive enough to believe the lies being pushed by SJW overlords, lies that entice because they make life look easier. That's great. And ultimately what they do is they turn these people into little golems,
Yeah.
It's like, what's Gollum's original name? Do you remember?
Oh God. Oh my, and I know the chat is just exploding with it right now.
Do you guys remember Gollum's original name?
Bilbo, Frodo.
Somebody knows. Smeagol. So I mean, it takes these like nice little Smeagol.
Well, it's the opposite. His Smeagol is what his name became, right?
No, that was his original name. His name became Gollum.
They're both terrible names.
Well, they're not. But Smeagol was a nice little hobbit who just wanted a ring that he found.
I feel like Smeagol was probably on the outs of the Hobbit Society with a name like that.
Well, so many SJWs are as well. But I mean, that's the thing. Like, you offer them this thing, this ring, which is like this. Hey, this is this knowledge. I'm going to tell you a few things. They're going to make you feel superior to almost everyone else out there in the world. It's going to make you look down on people. Now, you're a loser. You're a scumbag who smells like, old moldy fish. You do nothing but eat Cheetos. You're a piece of shit. You graduated college and you don't know what you're going to do with your diploma in lesbian dance theory. You're just basically a worthless piece of garbage. But I'm going to teach you a few things. They're going to make you feel superior to everyone else, and they're going to fill you with this satisfying hatred.
Well, like you said, it's a Gollum thing. Like we talk about these, me and you have been like, going back and forth to people on the internet for years, and we're like, 2 years ago, these people were just cranks. They were just blowhards. Now, they seem to be, to the layperson, severely mentally ill and utterly miserable.
Psychotic.
Yeah, just talking about murder and killing people, and like every day they're talking about violence. Every single day.
They're at their wits' end, Zach. They can't get their way. Like they used to be able to get their way through other means. They can't get their way now, and they're resorting to fantasies of violence, and in some cases, actual violence. And I honestly think it won't be long before something. It feels like something's just going to explode. It's going to be crazy. Omega Shenron, thanks for $20. Hey Zach, thank you for your work. Thank you EVS. Can't wait to get my Jawbreakers God King. Thank you for being here in the chat, and thanks for the.
I've got to say that one of the things that is not exactly a mistake, but was kind of annoying, is I don't know how to type God King to make it look the right way, so I always have to go to my channel and highlight it and copy it because it's the Norwegian O. It's supposed to be a /0.
I just put the 0 in there, and it comes right up.
No, it always changes it to a regular 0 almost all the time.
Look at that. And
God King is a technological, villain. So I'm doing the binary thing, but so I'm always getting these people from Norway and Finland, and they're just like, this name is driving me insane. That's like, same with me. I can't even type the damn thing.
I missed the hyphen too. I never put the hyphen. By the way, you're at 192,541 now. So you are.
How is this even possible? It's like
it's magic.
It's freaking 3 in the morning. In some parts of the country, it's almost 2 in the morning.
People love you. You're $700 away now from passing. About $700 away from passing your original landing point. You've still got more than 2 hours to go. So this is looking pretty good. I told you what my prediction is. I'm thinking we're going to get past that. I think we're going to get past that. I've been through enough of these that I kind of.
Well, we've already, and I should probably check the raw numbers on the books, because my goal was to get to number 5 on the Comicron. We got to 5, and then we got to 4 like an hour or so ago, and now it looks like number 3, which is 5297. That could be possible. We do the quick math on this.
Comic Book Bob says for $5, he says Ed Benez crowdfund on Kickstarter only got 35,000. Unknowns in this movement beat pros on that level. That's proof of who really supports comics. Yeah, I don't want to get into it.
Dude, sorry to interrupt, but it's 80 away from being the number 3 book in the country. Number 3 graphic novel.
That's great. 192,646. We are approaching. We're approaching our first goal of the night, and that is 193. We're trying to get past 193,279, and that's going to mean, once you get past that, that basically means you're building on your audience. At that point, somebody said to me, well, we'll see how Cyberfrog 2 does, and if it doesn't do as well as Cyberfrog 1, what does that say about your behavior? I don't know, but that's up for grabs. We don't know what that's going to be yet. But Zach, your behavior has been exemplary. You're going to pass 193. You're going to do better than you did the first time, and that's extraordinary.
Are you going to do Chromium everything for the next Cyberfrog?
No, I'll come up with something else, and I'm already thinking, glow in the dark. I want to get back to all of the old variants. But
I would just do Chromium for everything. It's so freaking cool.
Well, we can do. Here's the thing, Cyberfrog Bloodhoney was feeling around in the dark. I really didn't know what I was doing. Now I do. So, and I can get anything I ask for. So, I could do several different variant covers and a Chromium. I could do a glow in the dark. I could do all of the stuff that they used to be able to do in the 90s, but can no longer do. And by the way, I'm not going to ever do anything but that, because I don't expect comic books to sell anymore unless they're extraordinary products.
Well, the interesting thing is we're using tricks that, weirdly enough and sadly enough, hurt stores but help us. Variant covers absolutely decimate stores because of the way you're forced to order a bunch of trash you don't want to get the covers you actually do want.
Yeah.
But this is a la carte. So you've got, I believe, 3 different covers for Cyberfrog, and it doesn't hurt anyone. You know, the worst case scenario, someone has to, you know, cancel one and then, you know, refund one because they want the other one later.
Yeah.
And then the cover enhancements, that was caused a lot of problems for stores in the 1990s. But for us, it's just, you know, I'm sure it's going to be like, here's the basic one on paper for X amount of dollars. And then for, you know, Y more, here's the enhancement. It's, you know, more expensive covers, so that warrants a more expensive price. And this is an experience in itself. You know, the whole process is not just buying something, read it, and then toss it into a box.
You know, SJW say that, by the way, they're just like, $25 is our initial buy-in. This is the difference. I want to point this out to people who are watching. People go, they're charging $25 for a 48-page comic. This isn't a comic book store. This isn't Amazon.com. This is something else. And you can trust with people like me and Zach that $25 is going to end up, you know, going a lot further than you thought when you bought in. The way Indiegogo works is we're saying, yeah, you're going to get, this is the basic thing that we're promising you. One 48-page comic book for $25. You commit at that level, and then we have stretch goals. So once you get, you know, Cyberfrog at this point, if you backed Cyberfrog Blood Honey at $25, you are receiving now an 80-page chromium covered graphic novel with a sketch cover underneath, autographed. You're receiving a foil wrapped pack of 2 exclusive trading cards. You're receiving a gigantic Cyberfrog window cling, and you're receiving a bookmark. So all of that entire package ends up being $25, which is frankly, I think what you'd end up paying for it in the store. You know, if it were, you know, some exclusive thing at a comic book store. So it's like, yeah, you buy in and then we kind of grow the deal. The deal gets better and better as time goes on and as the campaign becomes more and more successful. I think it's way more interesting and way more exciting than, you know, what you get at a comic book store or through Amazon. $192,771 right now. So we are getting really, really close. We're about $500 away, Zach.
It's crazy.
We're gonna do it. It's fantastic. All right. So what the hell were we talking about? All right.
Mark Wade article.
Mark Wade. Yeah. Okay. It's okay. What did I say? Oh yeah.
This is where it gets so freaking good.
I can tell. All right. These books look like they're mostly aimed at the direct market audience. Is that right? Right. Frankly, why does Humanoids care about the US market, particularly the direct market at this point? Wow, here's Mark Wade about to you know, dunk on the direct market. All right. I think they like what they're seeing about our changing market and changing audience with more appetite for different kinds of content. It's part of an all-out effort to enter the American market, not just DM, but also bookstores. They see the way we're trending as a business, away from floppy monthly comics towards longer, self-contained material. They've been doing that successfully for 40 years overseas, so why not have more footprint here?
These are like 3 completely disparate theses.
What is he talking about?
He's just babbling. First of all, he says we. And I noticed he does this also, like when he was like defaming me, he's like, who is the we? Oh, the we is the comic book industry. Really? Like you speak for every single person. So at first he's talking about the company, but then it's about the company, and then it's about comics, and then it's about Europe, and then it's about America. It's just babbling.
Yeah, this does remind me a lot of Gail Simone talking about Lion Forge. It's like, let me just run out the clock and say things that, you know, sound good but don't really make sense or withstand any scrutiny. Some of it, you know, some of it is actually Comicsgate. You know, the way we're trending as a business away from floppy monthly comics towards longer self-contained material. I could have said that.
Yeah.
You know, that's my whole thing.
I have 1,500 pages in the last 2 years. What do you have, Ethan? Nothing.
Nothing. I got paid a lot more for my, you know, 80 pages.
A McMansion made out of graham crackers. That's all you've got.
Zach, you've seen my house. Does it look
I
like
can
a
push
McMansion to you?
I can push my nose through that wall behind you.
Yeah, right. Yeah, my house is beautiful. It's classic. It's not a McMansion. It's a gorgeous house. McMansions are hideous. All
I
right.
told you about my buddy with the McMansion, right? Where I just like I was like Superman in there. Everything I touched, I broke.
Really?
I closed the bathroom door. I pulled it off the hinges. I was like, "This is what it's like to be Kal-El." Cheapest material ever.
Is that what a McMansion is? Everything's like really cheap.
It looks nice, but once you open the door, and you know how you I thought I told you this before. You know, you open a door you've never opened before, but you've opened thousands of doors in your life. You've gauged, what they weigh.
Mhm.
So my brain just went, okay, pull with this much, strength. It fucking broke the freaking hinge. Then I closed it and I freaking pulled the knob off. I'm like, I went to go apologize. I go, sorry. He goes, yeah, that's helping a lot. There was this huge dent in the corner. And I go, what was that big corner? Did you guys get in a fight? Did somebody kick it? Did somebody throw a bowling ball? He goes, no, one of the neighbor kids was over here playing with her grandkid, and he tripped and he hit the wall.
Wow.
How does a kid's head put a wall giant and the kid's alive?
Everything's made out of balsa wood. Like it's like a movie
essentially.
set. Yeah. All right. So anyway, back to this. The direct market has seen a few publishers launch in the last 18 to 24 months with versions of this same approach. Established veteran creators, high production value, a mature, updated take on the broadly conceived superhero action science fiction genre. How do you plan to stand out from the crowd?
Do you think that this made Mark Waid angry, this question?
I think it might have made him a little angry because this person's exactly 100% correct. And the only way Mark Waid stands out from the crowd is his ideas are violent and idiotic and hateful. We've seen this. What was the company that just came out that there was a New York Times article? It's like we're all
they had
together.
AMA that was with Axel Alonso, and then they had the other one that was essentially the exact same company, and that was called whatever. They hired Garth Ennis for something. They do the same thing. They come out with 4 or 5 books in 4 or 5 different genres. So you can go to Netflix and you can go to the Hollywood agencies and say, hey, when someone's like, hey, we're tired of superheroes. Oh, so are we. Here's our detective thing. And here's our, thing about race relations. And it's just throw 5 things at the wall. Those AMAs, I think those are vaporware. I don't think they ever came out except for like one book.
Where are they?
And also with this one, the Max book has already came out. I read it on Comixology just like a month ago. I didn't review it because there was like nothing there. You could tell they're like, hey, Max, nobody can bash anyone else's skull in. And she's like, well, then why did you hire me? So it's just people talking.
I got invited to be part of AMA or whatever that was. Did you know that?
I think you mentioned it once.
Yeah, they called me up and they said, hey, do you want to, we're doing this thing and it's going to be this thing and, we're going to be connected to Hollywood and all this stuff. And I said, frankly, I just launched Cyberfrog and made $200,000 in a week. So I'm not looking to join up with some. I'm sorry. Thank you.
One thing that was funny about this is, and I'm going to mention it more later, is they did that AMA. It was in the New York Times. And they were posing in their office, and then the more you look at it, you go, "That's just a corner near a window." Like that, some of these buildings they do. It's called what is it called? Make work or something like that.
Yeah.
WeWork. They will rent you a closet with a. But then you look at there's New York City out there. I guarantee you, the part of the office they showed that was 60% of the actual office.
You're 100% right. There's this whole thing. These people think they can just spring up a company with a whole line of comic books out of nowhere and it's going to succeed. That's just not how things happen. I mean, you look at things that are genuinely successful and they're always grassroots enterprises like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was just one kind of silly idea that grew into an enormous thing. But it wasn't like, hey, we're going to launch like 8 books at once. One of them is Turtles. It was just these guys just putting out one comic book that they had their hearts in, and it eventually grew into something substantial.
They always want to skip all the hard work. They just want to go straight to the movie premiere. Jamal Igle, he had that book, The Wrong Earth, and it's legitimately excellent. I freaking love this book. And what did he do? That company now has like 5 or 6 books nobody cares about. And then he stopped doing The Wrong Earth to go do the sequel to Black with Kwanzaa. Why? Because Kwanzaa got some fly-by-night company to give him $3,000 for a Hollywood option that's going nowhere. Like these people will do anything for. And the other thing is they're all obsessed with Mark Miller or Millar, who sold he made millions off of Netflix, but that guy's had a 25-year career. He was writing fill-in issues of Superman Adventures. He put in all of this time over decades.
That guy fought. I got to tell you, I've known Mark Miller for a long time. He's a super guy. I really admire him. And by the way, he's one of the few that's really still nice to me. I think he might secretly agree with me. He hit me with a follow, and I was like, "Damn, dude, are you sure?" He's like, "Hey, man." And look, that guy fought in the trenches hard all the time. He fought with DC. He fought with their expectations of him versus what he wanted to do. And when they didn't let him do what he wanted to do with Superman, he just branched out. He joined Wildstorm, and he started doing, The Authority and all. Was it The Authority? What was Mark Miller's? Yeah. And he started to do comics in a much more aggressive way. And Mark took chances. I mean, Mark is legitimately a genius and will do things that'll make you go, what? And I remember reading an issue of The Authority once where these supervillains were fighting these superheroes, and one of them had a time travel power, and he's fighting this woman, and he decided in order to defeat her, because she was so powerful, he went back in time to when she was 14 and molested her, and then flew back to the future, and she saw him and had a panic attack. And I was like, that's mentally ill. That's really sick.
Oh yeah, he goes to such dark places. I told you this before. I was reading this one book, and you know how these SJWs, they always have these little fantasies. I actually if I probably would have thrown a shoulder into him walking by him, like, what the hell did you just make me read? And he just would have laughed. He's like, sorry, mate. So it's just a funny idea I had while walking along the moors.
He just wants to get people. He wants to use comics to get people to say what, but you can't stop reading it.
Exactly. So these people, they want his success without putting in his time, while also rigidly enforcing nothing can be offensive. Garth Ennis, he's got that show The Boys on, and everyone loves it. Garth Ennis is super offensive. That's his whole shtick. Now he's kind of playing it safe. He's in his 50s, but in his 20s and 30s, he was just burning everything down.
Yeah. That's how you have to be. That's what comic books are meant to be. Comic books can never be SJW. They can't. They cannot adhere to speech codes, and they can't appease people. They can't. You can't let comic books do nothing but pander to people based on their skin color. And it's such a waste of this medium where you can do absolutely anything and you can say whatever you want to be entertaining. It's like comic books should be transgressive and just sometimes dark, cruel, funny, whatever you want to do, but just really make an impact on people, because you can do anything. And by the way, let's look at Jawbreakers God King. Speaking of doing anything, and just refresh it here. You are now 190.
How is this possible? What the hell? It's like 3 a.m, dude.
I know. This is great. So let's just look back here. We're trying to get to, we're just $279 minus $31. So we're looking for about $148. And then we will have passed, your first. And you just look.
I think your math was a little off there. I think it's more like 200, but it's very close.
Yeah, 248. Okay, I'm 200. I'm really bad at math. Stupid.
Dude, it's bad when you're worse than me at math, because
Zach, I can't even say numbers. I go 193,000 and $31. I have a real tough time saying big numbers. I don't know why that is, but it is true. All right. So anyway, let's get back to this while we're waiting for you to earn about $200 more, and then we're going to keep going. That is going to be, dude. I'm listen. What were you at earlier today? You were like at 160 something.
I think I started the day in the 150s or something like that.
Gee whiz. All right. Here's Mark Wade responding to this question. How do you plan to stand out from the crowd? It's a good question, because there are definitely more players in that space. The H1 books are topical, designed to be dangerous. Mark's ideas of dangerous. One of the advantages to working with a global publisher, we can hit subjects that other companies, especially corporate companies, can't do. From a business standpoint, we're thinking locally, but acting
Oh
globally.
God, this is literally like
Fucking
he's picking random phrases. Do you remember the it was In Excess, but they were copying Bob Dylan. They did the video where he had the signs and he would just flip them and they would just say random words.
yeah.
That's what he's doing. Thinking locally but acting globally. Somebody was walking through the Whole Foods parking lot when they came up with that.
It said that on his recyclable grocery bag. Zach, I want to think globally but act locally. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I want to no, wait, is that the right way? We're thinking locally but acting globally. I want to act, yeah, I want to think about the entire world but bring it all
It's
back
so
to myself.
nonsensical that you can flip it and it doesn't make less sense.
Yeah, like well, can we make it mean something selfish?
I'm thinking globally but acting locally, but I'm also thinking locally and acting globally.
It's the same thing. Either way, it means the same thing. If you think about it, you know, it's like I used to. I had a meme once where I took a picture of the entire universe, like, and it was just like, you know, looking out in that entire universe and, you know, seeing all of that. I mean, all of that creation. It makes me realize how incredibly awesome I am. That I'm better than all of it. You know.
How do people not see that this is a bit when you do stuff like that? Like, I see people get legitimately angry. The Ethan Van Sciver thinks he's better than the entire universe, and that's not okay.
I don't know. I think it's funny, but I think if you're already predisposed to really dislike me, that gets under your skin. And you know, I think that's good. Oh, we did it, Zach. We did it. Hold on, refresh. We did, yeah. 193, 431. All right, so we have officially passed Jawbreakers, the Lost Souls graphic novel. What do you want to say about that, Zach?
So again, thank you for everything you did, because I remember doing a live stream by myself in like the last 2 hours. I think I went to sleep for an hour and it was grim death. Like the last 2 hours, I think I might have made maybe $800. So thanks for pumping this up. The other one is that it looks like we are going to also cross the amount of backers as well. I just did some other math. Right now I'm at 5213. And 5298 will get to be the #3 graphic novel in the country, and then Lost Souls was like 53 something. The amount of backers on it.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm looking at the backers here. It says 4968. Where am I wrong?
Well, no, you go to Lost Souls. This is God King.
Oh yeah.
That, so 5362.
Right.
This is amazing. And again, this was a pretty casual month. I was calling it content over controversy, because that was the other things. Oh, you only did good because Mark Waid interfered and nobody cared until that. No.
That did help though. I remember you making I remember when it was pretty funny with your YouTube channel. Like people would attack you and you'd get in real trouble, and you would make like 3,000 new subscribers. I feel like, how are you doing that? Your channel would blow up when people would attack you.
Yeah.
And even, you know, I don't know if you made a lot of money off of it, yeah, I think the Mark Waid thing got you some attention. You know,
and I finally got past my, I got to 100,000, and all of a sudden YouTube had me treading water for like a month with subscribers, but that finally ended.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know why I don't know how that happens or why that happens, but yeah. Are you up to 101 or 102 or did you?
Yeah, I think I'm at like 101,000, but like it was really suspicious. Like every day I would gain 200 and then lose 198, something like that. You're like, come on, really?
Yeah. I always tell people, like, check and make sure that you're still subscribed, and people hit me up and go, I was unsubscribed and I don't know why. You know, I didn't mean to unsubscribe from you. So, you know, you have to tell people. I tell people at the end of all my videos, check and see that you're still subscribed, because YouTube will unsubscribe people without their permission. And it's really creepy. If you watch, you know, I'll have my Social Blade on because I have like 8 iPads. So I'll have my Social Blade, you know, sub count just on a stream. And you'll watch it like go up and up and up. And then suddenly all at once drop 20 subs straight down. And you're like, that's not genuine. That's not something that just happened. That's YouTube acting with me. So Anyway, look at this. We got we're up now 193. Oh, 194. 194 and 176. Still with 2 hours.
This is another very interesting thing with human psychology. Reaching a goal. Now, logically, you would think that when you reach a goal, people would say, okay, cool, we've reached that goal. And that would make them, okay, we're done. Reaching a goal actually increases interest.
Yeah. Why is that?
Because, people want to be on a winner. Have you seen Avengers Endgame?
No, not yet.
I saw it. I liked it a lot. But you know what? I like it a lot when it makes $1 billion. If it would have made 700,000, I would have been like, eh. But liking it, and then it makes $1 billion, you go, hell yeah, I was right. I knew it.
Yeah. Whether we got a new member of the channel,
SJWs are the only people who get joy out of failure.
They get joy out of failure?
Oh yeah.
Their own failure?
No, not their own. Their own, they just ignore it. It doesn't factor. But they love the idea of you being destitute. I mean, they said it flat out. You bagging groceries.
Yeah. They said Ethan's got to. Mark Wade said that. Mark Wade said, he said this to Jamal, and I could see it. And even though I'm blocked, he said, don't forget what our goal is, to have Ethan Van Sciver saying, do you want fries with that? And I was like, why would you say that? Like, that is so ugly. You understand that I have kids, it's like, I have little children that depend on me. You want them to starve too? I don't care how much I hate any of these people. If they have kids, I don't want them to suffer financially at all. These people are really, really, really ugly inside. And to think that Mark Wade would be that kind of a person, for what? And all of this is because Mark Wade warned me and said, don't be friends with him. They wanted you completely canceled. They wanted you out in an island, and I wouldn't let it happen because you didn't let it happen to me. So, that's what this all comes down to. Mark Wade said, don't you do it. Don't you do it. He said, you're going to suffer some consequences if you don't disavow and denounce Richard C. Meyer.
It's just so insane. It's going to be so weird to look at a jury of farmers and people who work at the telephone company and look at him. He's garbage. I did the right thing. You should be congratulating me.
Yeah. Like, welcome to the real world. Like, you're going to have to confront people and explain yourself to real people. Can you do that? Can you sometimes I'll do this. Like, I'll go into the dentist's office and I'll look at the people that work there and I'll be like, if I tried to explain to them the craziness of Comicsgate, what would their reaction be? Like, it would be embarrassing.
I think I freaked out this couple at the comic store last year. It was when things were kind of getting to me, and someone's like, "Hey, are you Zach?" I go, "Yeah," and they're like, "Oh, we like your show," and then I just started just releasing it's like, yeah, things are pretty tough, and I got all these people trying to destroy my life, and they're just like, "Oh shit, we're just normal. We just listen to you driving, dude. Like, we don't even know what Twitter is."
Yeah, it is true. It's like
the reality is, as always, it's 99.99% of people are just happy, normal people, and then it's just that the couple dozen just really damaged people, and they kind of monopolize. That's why I always say, you watch sci-fi, there's no social media.
Mm-hmm.
Even after social media was invented, people don't write social media into sci-fi.
No, not usually, but Mark Wade does. With his silly book about kids and surviving, becoming superheroes, quote unquote. Their names are at.
So that's so embarrassing. That was like a thing to do like 10 years ago.
Yeah, and everybody's getting selfies in Marvel Comics. How many more of these goddamn covers where superheroes are taking selfies? Hey, Captain America, you cucked out bitch. Stop posing for selfies, dickhead. It's like Red Skull's out there, and you're going to sit there and pose for a selfie. And if there are superheroes in the Avengers that actually have time, it's like Ray Kroc said, you got time to lean, you got time to clean. You got time for a selfie, you can go punch MODOK in the face. I don't understand this. It's superheroes just completely as selfish and empty and stupid as SJWs are on Twitter. It's a disgrace. I wasn't taught how to. When I talk about this a lot, on my channel. I'm like, when I went to DC Comics, You can read my early Cyberfrog books and you can see how selfish and mean, those characters are. And Cyberfrog actually told Heather that he didn't like talking to her, and I was reading some of my own books and I was like, oh my God, like Cyberfrog loves Heather. He would never say that to her. But, in my early books, I used to think being snotty and rude was cool, and that's what comics should be. And then I went to DC Comics and they taught me what superheroes do. And this was early. This was like 1997, 98, 99, 2000. At that point, I was fully converted and understood, this is how heroes behave. And when I pitched a bad idea to DC Comics, when I said, what if Aquaman did this? They'd say, Aquaman wouldn't do that. That is not heroic. Okay, that doesn't show our hero in the best light. And we're not going to do that. Now, that used to be DC Comics, Zach. That's not DC Comics now. That's not Heroes in Crisis DC Comics.
Hey, so I didn't have time to, it's been kind of a busy day. I didn't have time to watch all of the video you did about DC becoming, licensed out.
Yeah.
So you said you were building to a conclusion, but I wasn't able to finish it. What did you finish with?
Well, I don't know if I structured the video very well, but what I realized was that what DC was doing was the only thing that it could do. When I criticized DC Comics for kind of pulling back a little bit and all of this stuff, I realize now that DC's only argument for their own existence is we can create stories. Okay, we can't make you money, AT&T. We know we can't make you any money. We only make $375 million a year in terms of our comics, and that is nothing compared to a conglomerate like you that is literally $166 billion in debt. So we can't offer the money. What we can do is create stories and characters and content for you that can be exploited in in other media. So our IPs, our job is to just offer content. That is DC's only argument for their own existence. Okay, they're on the guillotine, about to have their heads chopped off, and they're turning around and going, "But we can make stories. Like, we're worth surviving." Meanwhile, Marvel Comics is going the opposite way because they're not owned by a fucking telephone company. They're owned by a creative entertainment conglomerate that is just like, we don't give a shit. Like, we spend more, we lose more money on Mickey Mouse t-shirts than you guys lose in 5 years on comics. So, just produce product, whatever it is. And at this point, Marvel Comics is just like, woohoo! It's like, as long as there are outlets to actually carry these comic books, they can go ahead and just throw out as much shit as they want to, look like they're keeping, they're staying afloat, they're keeping their bottom line where it belongs, and send the right message to Disney. But when you watch the difference between the way DC is scaling back and the way Marvel is putting pedal to the metal, that is the reason why. That is entirely the difference between the advantage of being owned by Disney, which again loses money like you wouldn't believe on so much shit. I mean, you go to the Disney store and just look at all of the crap that they produce. Go to Disney World and look at the crap they produce for sale. Comic books are nothing. Whatever, do whatever you want to do. Whereas DC Comics has AT&T going, look, we bought Time Warner because we're both terribly in debt, these two companies, and we recognize that Disney, that Netflix, and that Amazon are going to completely transform into streaming services. And we are no longer making the ad revenue off of television because television is dying. So if we combine forces, maybe we can get out of debt together by streaming this content. We now own Turner Classic Movies. We own TBS. We own, Cartoon Network. We own Adult Swim, and we own Warner Brothers. So can we stream all this shit and get out of debt? What do we own? A comic book company? The fuck is this?
So for people who, and not to be condescending, but when I was in cybersecurity, I worked for some pretty giant corporations, and you might say, 375 million, that's a lot. Why would anyone not want to not make that? It's because at some point these things are hierarchies, and it's going up to a board, and they have to have meetings every weekend. So they got to spend 35, 45 minutes, a week talking about this division. They go, we could spend the same amount of money talking about a division that makes 1 billion. Why are we wasting our money, our time talking about these idiots? What do they do? Nobody buys this stuff.
Dude, one single bomb of an MCU movie makes more money in profit than DC Comics makes all year long. So if that puts it into perspective for you, Captain Marvel made 3 times as much money as DC Comics makes in an entire year of publishing comic books. What are we doing publishing comic books? Why are we devoting the resources, the amount of manpower, the salaries that have to be paid out, the organization, the inevitable PR problems that come from these weirdos sending pictures of their anuses out on Twitter? Why are we even bothering with this when we could actually just take that money, take that manpower, take that time and that energy and devote it into making content for a streaming service? It doesn't make sense. It's completely outmoded. And, right now, DC Comics recognizes this. They're making their final argument. Please don't chop our heads off. We can make good stories for you.
Jim Lee has already checked out. Jim Lee has gone on a charm offensive, and he's basically made himself into like the Stan Lee 2.0.
Mm-hmm.
So he's just doing Twitch streams, which is great. He's going out to things, but like the idea that he's like developing and trying to save DC, oh god, that's no. He's now like, hey, do you remember the X-Men? Do you remember Batman? Do you want to see a guy draw them? That's cool.
Yeah.
He smiles a lot. Hey, Jim Lee's doing fine, but I think Dan Didio might actually be selling hot dogs sometime soon.
Jim Lee's riding it down. They're both doing fine. I look at some of the stuff, not to get personal, but Dan Didio got married, last month. Dan's getting ready. By the way, you just passed 5,000 backers. Congratulations.
Wow. That's amazing.
So, you can see the moves that they're making. Dan getting married, just like, I'm gonna settle down. Okay, like pretty soon this isn't gonna be a thing. I've got plenty of money to retire. I might as well retire with this woman that I love and just live a normal life here in Los Angeles or something.
What is he, like 65? 60?
I don't think he's that old. How old is Dan? Dan might be pushing 60 at this point. But he's still like healthy and vibrant, a great guy, a lot of fun. And, this pretty soon, I mean, this is all going to come to an end. And I said 5 years. I think it's going to be 2 years, Zach. Within 2 years, maybe even sooner. Shit.
Yeah. I mean, when you shut down all of Vertigo, when you shut down Mad Magazine, and then, my insiders are telling me there's no new plans. Like, there's nothing out there. I put Bendis and Jim Lee on something for 6 months, but besides that, no, not really anything.
Yeah. Well, but see that even that, like getting Bendis over was a signal. We're here to make stories. You know what I mean? Like we're elevating Tom King, we're elevating Bendis. We're trying to, create this look that we are finding. Look, we're going out, AT&T, and we're hiring Bendis, who is one of the biggest writers ever, to come over here and create content for us, for you to exploit, and however you want to do, for a streaming TV show, whatever it is. We did this. Like we're chasing after writers who can make stories. That is their entire argument. You can see it happen in everything that they do. And in the meantime, they're hedging their bets. 195, Zach, 195,000.
Wow. It's insane.
That is substantial, man. You are going to hit, I think you're going to hit 200, pal.
So right now it's at 52, 57 books sold. And that is 41 away from the number 3 book in the country, the number 3 graphic novel.
That's amazing. That's amazing, man. You deserve it. I mean, this is great. It's good to see you pass. Again, now let's wave goodbye to this number here, 193,279, which was your first book, your first month on Jawbreakers Lost Souls. That no longer is your upper limit. You're now at 195.56, and people are still backing as they see the clock tick down. There's 1 hour left for this.
Oh wow, yeah, 15 minutes left.
Is it just 15 minutes? Do you see it?
50.
Oh, 50. Okay, 50 minutes. Okay. God, I was like, I didn't think we went that. Hope we have more time than that. Yeah, people are saying, yeah, you must feel pretty good. What does it feel like, Zach?
I mean, it's just incredible. I mean, I had that fear too. I go, what if it's going to be so embarrassing if I can't. But, one of the things I saw over the last year is people would read it and they'd be emailing me, hey, what's up with Silkworm? What's up with Cuffs? And there's actual, interest in the characters. And that's, that's very gratifying because I really love these characters. I'm going to work on them forever, and have people come back. And I mean, because we see this with comics, you know, the first issue sells 60,000, the second one sells 30, and then they settle down at 20,000. You know, and you made the great point that we figured out a way to sell miniseries where every issue gets the sales of a number one.
How did we do that? You know, I guess we're just that smart. You know, I'm having conversations with people about this in comics and just being like, everything has to change at this point. When you see the precarious position that the entire comic book industry is in, feel free to throw away the old model. Feel free to start over again and start thinking fresh about why are we doing the same things that we're doing over and over again that fail. At this point, you know, to make up for the calamitous loss, the drop, the plummet between issue number 1 and issue 2, you're jamming these poor comic book stores with so many variant covers that they didn't ask for, that are not demanded. And the difference between the variant covers between, you know, Cyberfrog, Blood Honey, Jawbreakers, God King, is that people want them. There's a demand for them. There's no demand for 8 different variant covers on you know, Daredevil number 8. There's no reason to do it except to just keep those numbers up. Why do that? Why?
Have you ever spoken to Donald DeLay about his last Image miniseries and what the pay was?
No, I'm afraid to know.
By like issue 4 of like a 5-issue miniseries, I believe the entire creative team was sharing about $800.
Oh, it's just so why?
And you remember for 15, 20 years, well, about 15 years, Image was like the hope.
Yeah.
You know, you start at Marvel and you work there and you don't make a lot of money, but then you build yourself a name. You're, you know, Rick Remender or someone, Matt Fraction, and then you go over to Image, and that's where the big bucks start rolling in. And then you find out about it, and it's just awful. That's why they dream of Hollywood. Oh my gosh, Rebel Wilson might send me $3,500 in a cashier's check. It could be crazy.
Yeah, you know, for people who don't know, I mean, Image is a nonprofit company, they say. So it's like basically, you know, they don't take a piece of what you do. They take a flat fee. They take, I think, $2,500 to publish your book, the Image Eye on it, do all the work. And believe me, it's a good deal for $2,500. It costs.
Oh yeah, I can't believe they haven't, like. I'm almost wondering if it was Kirkman who was keeping them from readjust that, because it seems like they're getting a fairly bad deal.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, it is almost a charity at this point, but they do have they will say yes or no. I actually told Eric Larson before I launched Cyberfrog like a year ago. I was just like, you're telling me Image would say no to Cyberfrog if I wanted to bring that back? Eric Larson was quiet. He was like, I'm in a trap. I'm caught in a trap here. And then shortly thereafter, he blocked me. But he was, I think he was afraid to say, no, of course we wouldn't. Of course we wouldn't publish Cyberfrog. You know, and at the end of the day, I guess, why should they? I mean, there's no incentive in it for them to publish, you know, a comic book that made $871,000 because they're only taking $2,500.
Yeah, their model kind of encourages SJWs to get hired and say, we're not making money no matter what, so I'm just going to hire my buddies.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah.
Have you seen how many Chris Sabella? Chris Sabella gets one Image mini after another. Just 1, 2, 3. They never sell anything. That Alice Cott, 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's whatever.
Yeah.
They probably would get pissed. They're like, this freaking Eaton money is just going straight through our coffers and right back out.
Well, they say that. They get mad. One of their things is that money should be in the industry. Well, I hate to tell you guys.
Honestly, when Mark Waid said that, that's probably one of the things that made me the angriest.
Yeah, it's like
he says.
Go ahead.
He says, you know, the lawsuit that I filed took like $250,000 out of comic book stores. I was like, you son of a bitch. Mm. All you had to do was just pout and go kick your. I mean, we know you kick things all the time. Just go kick your wall again, and just get over it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. Again, this money, by the way, comes from people who used to pump money into the comic book industry. We're talking about comic skaters who have basically backed away from mainstream comics for the most part because they felt like the comic books were no longer anything that they wanted to read. Nobody wants to read about these people's political agendas. Nobody wants to read a comic where the first and only priority is a statement about diversity and how wonderful inclusion is.
Well, then the other thing is, like, again, getting back to the Donny Cates thing, is that, okay, so you keep your politics out of the book, right? But you're also like a brand ambassador for Marvel in your comic. It's not fun. Oh, hey, that's the guy who calls people Nazis. Well, he didn't call me Nazi, but he's not fun. He's like this moral scold, weirdo. Just, oh, look at that person. Is that your job?
Puts a damper on everything, doesn't it? Yeah, it just makes it no fun. Like I have to admit, when I found out John Byrne was kind of a dick, I was very sad. I mean, I love him now, but I completely understand John Byrne. But I mean, John Byrne's behavior early on kind of broke my heart because he was my hero growing up.
Well, bad behavior from pros back in the day is so quaint. You would talk to someone like, I went to the Mid-Ohio Comic Con and John Byrne was there. You're like, oh, what was it like? It's like, he didn't look up at me when he signed my book.
Yes.
And you're like, oh my gosh.
They used to say John Byrne would wear a badge at conventions that said John Byrne is off duty. And he would just sit there at his table and talk to other pros. And you'd go, can I get my book signed? And you tap his badge, off duty. And you'd be like, like that would be your complaint about John Byrne. I completely get him. I completely understand him now, But yeah, I mean, this stuff does. Nowadays, that's not what it is. Nowadays, you're having your entire belief system, insulted by these people in the worst possible ways. People are denigrating you and telling you that you're worthless, that you're a garbage human being. These people who make your comic books, these people who are supposed to be creating the heroes that you aspire to be and look up to, are telling you that you are not worthy of reading their interpretations of your characters. And they've got your characters. They've got your characters, and you're out of luck. There's no other alternative.
One of my favorite things that you said as you were talking about, all the little diversity changes. And you're like, the average person is not bothered if you say Peter Parker is now a trans Eskimo. They go, that's great. And then they never think about him for the rest of their life.
They don't buy it, right?
Yeah.
Most of what SJWs do makes people go, oh, good, I'm glad, and then not buy it.
I used to get frustrated. I remember a year and a half ago, I was like, why do they do this? It's so short-sighted. It's like, because it makes them feel good.
Yeah, that's exactly
when you say, when you're at the convention and you talk to, the other publisher, editor-in-chief, you're like, we just hired Max Versace. And you go, oh, we did too. And then you just supposed to smile like you gave to UNICEF. Oh, we're so good. We really are good people.
Yeah. That's that is,
When you hire Dwayne Swierczynski, who I think is a good writer, nobody says, we just hired Dwayne Swierczynski. And you're like, you're so good. People say, oh, really? What's he selling? What's he selling? 19,000? Fire his ass. Toss him in a dumpster. Yeah. There's no like, oh, you're a good person for hiring, I don't know, Dan Abnett. It's, what did you sell? What is Silencer selling? 9,000? Cancel it. Max Versace sells 700 copies and people go, it was such a good decision. I just felt so good when I made that decision.
We hired her too. You guys, this company isn't better than our company. Meanwhile, you've got these people just throwing spaghetti at the walls, just trying anything. You look at what IDW has coming out right now.
IDW is absolutely they've gone insane.
It's like,
they've lost their damn minds. Do you remember when they launched?
Yeah.
Quality straight out of the gate. Hits straight out of the gate. 30 Days a Night, Lock and Key.
Yeah.
And the best looking comics.
Well, they lost a lot of money on Lock and Key. I mean,
they keep trying to buy their way into Hollywood over and over again. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, to them, it's like, look, they did pretty well. Honestly, they should have people need to focus on one thing at a time. And this is what I was just saying about Turtles. These smaller companies need to just focus on one thing and grow that one thing, and then think about maybe expanding out, but just take your time with it. Because I mean,
and maybe just like if we got extra time at the end of the day, we're going to think about board games, you know?
right.
One board game, see how it does.
Well, they did, Winona Earp, I mean, that was really good, but yeah, they just started kind of expanding outwards and feeling their way around. And you're just like, why are you guys doing a Napoleon Dynamite comic in the year 2019? Why are you doing that? Why are you doing an Addams Family comic book? And then why are you doing it? Why are you doing it with Gamergate? Whatever.
Who is that guy who Chris Rial? He runs it.
Yeah.
You know, next San Diego Comic-Con, it's going to be like our big hit for the year, Mr. Ed, written by Mags Fasaggio. You know, back in the 1950s where they used to use a photo as the cover for the comic book?
Sure, yeah.
It's going to be an old photo of Mr. Ed.
Yeah.
Mr. Ed comes out of the closet.
They're gonna buy. We're buying up all the Dell properties. So we're doing a My Mother the Car comic book.
Who is it? Ernie Kovacs.
We're doing Ernie Kovacs.
You've got an Ernie Kovacs 12-issue maxi series.
It's written by Aubrey Sitterson.
Drawn by Tess Fowler.
Okay, I mean, but that is what it is. I mean, it is just like, okay, we're like desperation at this point, bleeding money, throwing spaghetti against the wall, trying to make something stick, trying to make something work. It is absolutely dreadful, terrifying times for the comic book industry, but also kind of funny from our vantage point. I got to admit.
I mean, it's hilarious. Like I said, a friend referred Aaron, who's fantastic. Everyone loves him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the first thing I said when I saw Aaron's work, I go, he's gonna disappear.
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna get halfway through drawing. I mean, not to say disparage him, but he's gonna get halfway through, and he's gonna get offered Justice League or Spider-Man. Yeah. And then I realized there's no competition. You're my competition. You are the guy who would, quote, steal Aaron.
Yeah, I mean, really, we're paying more than anyone else is. As I said, I mean, you've got the top 1% of comic book professionals. I kind of know what people are making. You've got Scott Snyder. This guy's raking it in, obviously, and people like him. Tom King's got a great contract. And then there are a few artists, a handful of artists that are doing really, really well. But even the ones that are doing really, really well, looking back, they're not doing as well as us. And most people.
This thing's going to finish, in 36 minutes, and I'm going to get a giant check in like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to get another one every month. You get that Image deal, you draw it a year, and then like a year and a half later, you get a check for $800.
Yeah, yeah.
But the Mary Sue says, brave and inspirational. A stunning work.
Oh, Scott Knox is $20, says, hey, Ethan, I'm waiting on the Cyberfrog Chromium. And I was wondering, since I'm going to frame it, could you offer a signature card so that I could frame it with the Chromium cover and still have the signature showing? Oh, that's an interesting idea, Scott.
That actually is a really smart idea. Because you can't sign a Chromium, right? Unless you have like a paint pen.
No, you can totally sign a Chromium on the outside, but I'm choosing not to because most people don't want that. But Scott, if you want to, what I could do is actually sign a trading card or something like that and send it to you personally so that, I don't mind doing that. I would just throw one of those in the mail. And Zach, I have crates of these trading cards now. I spent so much money on the extras, that I'm buried in extras. I just assume at some point I'm going to do a convention and just spill all this stuff out all over a table. Like, take this stuff. But I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with this stuff.
Well, it looks like I have a little announcement. If I did the math right, 4410 plus 873. Jawbreakers Lost Souls is now the #3 best-selling graphic novel in the country.
Amazing. Amazing.
Geez, and actually only like 112 away from number 2, but there's 34 minutes, so that might not be realistic. But this is crazy because the goal was top 5, and now it's number 3.
Leodara, I see you. I'll send it tomorrow. Oh, tomorrow. What's tomorrow? Thursday. Yeah, I'm going out anyway. I'll send it to you, Leodara. Yeah, this is extraordinary, Zach. Extraordinary success. You're at 196 now. As we approach that 200K mark, 200,000 for the first month isn't bad.
No.
You know, $200,000 is what successful people make in a year.
Well, this one guy who has an unpronounceable username, and I actually kind of worried it might be his password he accidentally put in that field. So I don't want to say it out loud. He was doing the gross for all the trade paperbacks of this year, and it's August, and I think and of course Cyberfrog was way up there, and I think this is within like the top 20 already. So very, very exciting.
Yeah, it is exciting. It's awesome. I don't even want to finish this Mark Waid article. Do we still go?
Oh no, you got it. You stopped. You stopped right before it gets amazingly. Just go one more. You're gonna get to it. It's hilarious.
All right, let's go. Let's see this thing here. All right. I can't remember what Mark's voice sounds like now. From a business standpoint, we're thinking locally but acting globally. The floppies are aimed at the American direct market, but the GNs, the graphic novels, are co-printed in France and distributed in Europe. Stuff like Ignited will be released as trades in the US and as albums in the BD format in Europe. Oh, so Humanoid's advantage here is their access to that European market where they're already a recognized, established player. Exactly. Is that what he would say? Would he say it like a Simpsons character? Exactly. That means we can go for sales in the U.S. direct market, but we don't have to live and die with that because there's a bigger audience for the trades waiting worldwide.
Okay, so I'm going to absolutely destroy this on the freaking cellular level. Okay, first of all, Europe has a very thriving graphic novel. That's what BD, it's Band-Aid Designé. It's the graphic album. Hardcover, it's going to be about 48, 64 pages, high quality, different aspect ratio, completely different aspect ratio for the pages. Now, they've got the train stations in Europe everywhere, and every train station has a small, dense, high-quality bookstore. It's not trash. It's nice. It's all about a nice form factor, an actual nice-looking presentation. The idea that a generic American trade paperback would have any appeal to Europeans is absolutely insane. Maybe if it's Superman with a really, really good artist and something crucial happens. If that, they have all of these European franchises, Tintin, Obelisk and Asterisk, Lucky Luke, Black Sad. I mean, these are just 4, and they've got dozens of them. The only things that appeal in the European market are stuff like Fathom, or the old Witchblade, where she was showing everything. That was cool. They would like Jim Chung doing Justice League. They would like that. The idea that poorly drawn Cecilia Kobina, the super smart doctor who became super smartier. God, no. Like, you don't understand. Like, the albums dwarf this. So then he does this thing. He goes, the floppies are made for the direct market, but we don't really care if we make the money because we're going to make it all in Europe. No, you're not. And then if you skip, they basically say, oh, Hollywood, I mean, I guess we'd take a call. No. It's 100% about Hollywood. Your idea about Europe is freaking stupid. The idea, and I think it was this guy, Jim Tuner, who he's like a freaking genius. I always try to talk to him more. He does all this research. He'll put it in a video comment. He said, this is not about getting Hollywood to do a freaking, what is that one? Cecilia Kobina, what is that book called?
Yeah, what was that?
Omni. It's not about that. It's that, yeah, they can say, oh, trans writer writing this and Mark Waid and Kwanzaa, that'll get the meeting. And then Humanoid sells all their European stuff, which actually looks good. This is literally just to get meetings in Hollywood and then sell their European stuff.
Are any of the H1 books creator owned? No, but the creators get a piece.
What do you get a piece of? 2,000 copies split 5 ways?
So they're using the American rather than the European IP model. In this case, yes. I'm sure you hate this question, but I have to ask, is this laying the groundwork for a bigger media strategy? Not specifically. The honest truth is, no one started thinking about selling to TV. We're trying to create material specifically, especially for our medium.
He didn't say TV. He said bigger media strategy. This is like, I remember when I lived in California, there was a serial killer and he kidnapped this girl and he was being interviewed and he thought he was slick. He's like, we went up to the mountains and then I came home. They go, what? Say that again? Oh, we came home. No. You just gave yourself away. All they said was bigger media strategy. He's like, oh, we're not trying to sell this to TV. You are 100% trying to sell this to Netflix. Whether you call that TV or not, you know, I think the average person would still call Netflix TV, you know, TV show.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know. People are not trying to make comic books. People have not figured out how to make money in comic books anymore. And so that is it. I mean, they're using comic books. It's so sad. I mean, they're disgracing the corpse of the comic book industry to just reach out to Hollywood for, this stuff. I don't want to see these movies or TV shows that these people come up with. The comic book industry has been whored out to these jackasses. It is literally their whore to utilize to get attention from Hollywood. F these people. We have to protect comics. We have to protect comics, Zach.
Absolutely.
Are you drinking?
No, but I'm slurring from fatigue.
Me too.
I'm not drinking at all.
All right, let's see. Guy King's at 196, 571, 550 backers. 5,050 backers, I mean. How did you get 40-something backers in the course of 15 minutes?
Yeah, just being on what is this called? All Caps Comics?
Zach, I've been around for like a year and a half. You know the name of my channel.
Comic Artist Pro Secrets. I'm really tired. I'm usually not up this late. But as far as the individual copies, as of about a minute ago, 5306.
Yeah. I made 5306 is the number that you sold?
Yeah, so that's a number 3 graphic novel in the country.
Drinking that Mark Wade beer, you know?
No. Just throw that thing away.
I'd pull way back on that, you know? I at this point, I need to be healthy. I got work to do. Oh, by the way, let me see this. I don't know if I showed you this. Did I show you the Vampirella cover?
Yeah, you were showing it right when I came in. You were talking about that you could have made the bikini metal.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't do that. That was like an Andrea idea to take a Vampirella cover and do it specially so that you could do a red foil bikini on Vampirella. Obviously, I would do her like full frontal if that were the case, and I would kind of make the cover. I wouldn't do detail on the bikini, but you know, this is the most vulgar cover I've done in a little while, and I've done sexually suggestive covers before, Zach.
The coloring is especially great. The soft tones, freaking fantastic.
Yeah, the one thing I told, I asked Kyle, would you please just push back the honeycomb a little bit, you know, push it back further because it's kind of blending into her hair a little bit. So that's the one thing I want him to do. And then also spatter more blood all over her chesticle region. I could have drawn that, but I was trying to get it done. So I'm going to have, I'll have Kyle do it.
Speaking of drawing and color, a colorist we both know who's working for me, it got to a point where it was like he colored it, and I go, "Hey, that's this character's a cyborg, but you know they're actually supposed to have metal there where you did skin, but the artist kind of drew it like it was skin." I go, "It doesn't make sense. It needs to be metal." So I give him some instructions on how to do those corrections. You know how sometimes you look at an old comic and the what do you call it? The artist didn't draw Superman's boot, so they just kind of draw it in color.
Yeah.
You know? So he did that, but then he also did the line. So he turned it in, and I go, great. I go, okay, so invoice me for this extra work. And he was like shocked. He goes, what? He goes, I've been working for these big companies. They'll just, they're billion-dollar companies, and they'll claim poverty about having me do extra work, and then they'll say, well, if you wanted to be paid extra, you shouldn't have accepted. I'm like, and then, oh my
Well,
God.
you don't need to pay extra for corrections. I mean, it's just a correction, right?
No, this is a good deal of work, because it was a character that we didn't do model sheets, so I just basically described the person, but then it was being designed while it was being drawn, and then they didn't match up. So he didn't just do colors; he actually would do, like, the cyborg enhancements and things like that. And
Oh, I see. Yeah, that's work. That's extra work. Yeah, I know. I pay like pretty promptly. I didn't pay James Dean Anderson promptly and scared him, because it was like I had to pay him out of the business account, which means Andrea had to do it. Like normally I just pay people out of my personal and then kind of invoice the business later. But yeah, for the most part, like working for me is pretty good. 3D Robin is just like, you pay me like he's like, it's so nice that you pay me the minute you're satisfied with what you asked me to do.
Oh yeah, I love that PayPal, and then it makes it all easy. Although one of the the people that I have to pay, not a contractor, they'll send me bills and I have to go wire it, so I have to go to the bank.
Yeah.
One time they sent me a bill for $197. So I was just like, I'm not going to the bank to wire you $197. I'll give you a couple hundred extra the next time, I send you 60,000.
Yeah, yeah. Kyle's in the chat right now. Hi, Kyle Ritter. Hello. I don't know if you have the closed caption on. Love you, buddy. Thank you for doing a great job. Here's 3D Robin. I love this. I can't get enough of this fist bump. Let me blow this. Can I blow this up? I mean, let me see if I can. And this took I don't think I can. This took a lot of work. Just he designed the 3-dimensional Salamandroid. He got him perfectly to my drawing. He even shrunk his head. He said the original thing that he did, his head was too big compared to what I had drawn. But he got the size right for, look at Cyberfrog just cruising here, pound it. I could watch that all day long. 3D Robin is excellent. It's so good. It's just so good. So we're doing good stuff. We're having fun here. And let's go back and let's just check and see Jawbreakers God King. As I don't know how much time we have left. Is it over yet? No.
Like 22 minutes.
Oh, good. We still got plenty of time to get to that 196, 941. I really want to see this get to 200. I won't be heartbroken if it doesn't, because it'll get to 200 tomorrow.
As Teasel would say, it would have pushed you into a higher tax bracket.
Yes.
I feel like he pulled that figure straight out of his ass. It's not, that's like cartoon thinking. A tax bracket is not going to be set at $1 million. It's going to be set at something like 580,000.
Yeah. I can't stand that. That whole thing makes my head hurt, and I really I hate thinking about taxes and money and everything. I just and then I'm also nervous about the accountant. Like, does the accountant know what they're doing?
Well, yeah. So I do everything through referral. So I got someone who's been using this firm for 15 years. But it's kind of weird because, it's like I got the LLC, and then I got the, but I'm the employer, but I'm the employee. So I'll get these letters that say, we're going to repossess your property for this $297 you owe me. It's like, what? The state of Texas. I go, what? What are you going to repossess? A PlayStation 4? It's $300. Chill out.
We got to get you into your own house, though, for real, because you're going to be making a lot of money this year.
Yeah. So last year was like, it was incredible. Like, Lost Souls got me out of debt that I would have been in till I was retiring and in my 60s. So like things are out of debt, and now I'm trying to figure out the whole retirement thing, but it's a little, how do I say it? You can only put so much money into retirement per year. You can't like make 300,000 say, okay, I'm putting it all into retirement. It doesn't work like that. So you got to put this into retirement. You got to put this into bonds. You got to put this into all these different things, or they'll just tax the hell out of it at the end of the year.
Yeah, they're Abbott on 380 says that's very good, Zach. There are people who are in our chat that are like, these two guys are like monkeys. They don't know anything about money, and that's all true. I've basically been getting my financial advice at this point from Mike S. Miller, and I'm just investing everything in Bitcoin. You know,
I have a buddy who's into Bitcoin, and he was trying to defend it. He's like, I haven't lost money. It's been in there 4 years. It fluctuates by 30% every day. He's like, I put in 4,000 in 2014. What do you have in there? 4,000.
Yeah, you got to just get out of the right.
You could have gone to Bank of America and put it into a freaking savings account. Made more money.
Yeah, you buy in at 9,000 and you pull out. By the way, you're at 197 right now.
Oh wow.
197. But you buy in at 9,000 and you pull out at around 11,500. I mean, that's the only way that I see it working, because it hasn't reached 13,000 yet, but it will drop down to 9,500 and then it'll go back up to 11. Just buy in at 9 and then get out at 11. That's I guess.
Well, that's everyone always has that story. It's like, I did this and then it went up to 20,000. It's like, why didn't you freaking sell? Oh, because the next day it went to 3,000.
Yeah.
I fell asleep.
Yeah.
You can't have Bitcoin and sleep.
No.
Spike to 20,000, then drop to 2,000.
Mike's in the chat. He's like, Bitcoin's at 11,832. Yes, it is, Mike. Sell. It's going to be at 500.
It is at 2:42 in the morning. At 3:15, it'll be down to 4,000.
Just sell. I mean, get rid of it. It's garbage. Eventually it goes back and forth. Make your money off of it, absolutely. But I don't. This idea that it's going to shoot up to 2,500 or something, or 25,000 is ridiculous. There's no possible way. Especially not with the government now. Global markets actually closing in and regulating. They are going to regulate Bitcoin and all these cryptocurrencies. They're not going to allow this to go on. So I would get, Zach, I would get out.
Of Bitcoin? I never got into it.
Me either. But I would get out.
When I first got into IT, one of my instructors was a Bitcoin miner. Mm-hmm. And he was literally talking about workstations submerged in what was it? Some kind of oil to cool it off. He's like, yeah, I got 3 of these and they run 24 hours a day, and I've mined so much over the last 2 years. I'm like, it's freaking insane.
Narrative Recount says it's going to be at 25K, my good man. Okay, if it does, I mean, I want it to. Understand, I want it to. I don't want anyone to pay the price of that. I think people should do well. All right, I want to show you this. What is this? Tim Seeley. I had Tim Seeley on my channel. He was interviewed. I actually like Tim Seeley, and Tim's a big Cyberfrog fan. So even though Tim is a leftist, I don't think he's an SJW. And I think Tim kind of might see the problem. But what are you going to do? Fight these people when you're...
I skim this, and he's going to broach a reasonable idea and immediately get checked into the wall by a comic book lawyer.
100%. DC Comics writer Tim Seeley admits major problem of the comic book industry. And again, yeah, you can't say what he's about to say. Seeley took to Twitter to write, boys ages 10 to 17 kind of do need help getting into mainstream comics because they don't read them. We've essentially given up on them. And I talk about this all the time. I talk about the death of Wizard Magazine being the death of the comic book industry early on. I mean, I don't know why we did this. I've got a copy of Wizard here. I pulled it out, Zach, just to look at it and reminisce. This is a beautiful magazine. This right here, I mean, this is exactly the kind of thing that gets boys 10 to 17 to go, wow, look at that. That's awesome. Pick it up and then realize that a lifelong love of comics. When this magazine was out, there were idiots that wanted to destroy it, and they wanted.
They were obsessed with it. It was like like George Bush derangement syndrome, but it was for Wizard.
It's so puerile. It's just they were saying things like it's too puerile. It's really stupid. It's it's for teenagers. It's for young boys who think this is awesome, and they'll grow into you start out with Cyberforce, and maybe you grow into transgendered Snoopy. I don't know. I don't know how that works, but it could work that way. The important thing is just to get people into comics. So we had this magazine once, and we killed it. We just killed it dead. And the reason why we killed it dead was because in the back of the magazine, this was one of the... Wow, Todd McFarlane used to write a column. I forgot about that. Do you remember that, Zach?
Yeah, I mean, there was Bart Sears, there was Todd McFarlane, there was a bunch of people who would come and dip in and dip out.
I actually want to read the Todd McFarlane column and check it out. I remember Todd McFarlane's column was all about Todd's self-aggrandizing. I think that's so great. Like Todd talking about how awesome he was. All right, this is it. This is why Wizard Magazine died. Wizard's top 10 hottest artists, hottest writers. Now, being on this list meant cash. Literally meant cash. Hottest artists of this point in time, May 1995, Todd McFarlane, number 1, Frank Miller, Alex Ross, Buzz, which is interesting, on Vampirella. Jim Lee, Joe Quesada, Jeff Smith, Stephen Platt, Greg Capullo, Adam Kubert. Maybe you've heard of some of those guys. And the top 10 hottest writers, Frank Miller, number 1, Neil Gaiman, Peter David, Jeff Smith, John Byrne, Fabian Nicieza. How do you pronounce that? I never knew.
I always say Nicieza in my head, but I'm sure that's wrong too.
Nicieza looks about right. Scott Liddell is on there. Chris Claremont, Dan Jurgens, Alan Moore is number 10. How could Alan Moore be number 10 behind Scott Liddell at number 7?
Do you remember he would go years and just not put out barely anything?
Yeah. In any case, this is what did it. So when Tim Seeley says, "Look, we've given up on boys ages 10 to 17," we killed Wizard Magazine, and I guess he's responding to Jamal Igle, which is something you don't need to do. You don't need to talk to Jamal. He says, "Well, I'll disagree only in the boys ages 10 to 17 kind of do need help getting into mainstream comics because they don't read them. We've essentially given up on them." And let's see. Jamal said, "Boys don't need support getting into mainstream comics." And then Jamal.
So do you know what this is? Do you know what started all of this?
No, what?
DC had some. Oh my gosh, it was so funny. DC out in Burbank had a meeting, and it was like, let's get girls into comics, and they were mentored by Cecile Castellucci and Mariko Tamaki. Then there's this group. They show the kids. There's like 80 of them. There's 3 girls with hijabs. Guess who gets put into all the publicity photos?
Who? All
the 3 girls with hijabs.
Yeah.
So it just looks like it's just a complete publicity stunt. Then it's the other thing about, okay, so they're gonna write like what it's fine. It's a outreach, but Tim says something basically, and the thing that made people go absolutely nuts and stalk me for 2 years is when I said superheroes is something that appeals to an audience that's 95% boys or men. And it's just, you do a superhero movie, it'll be half women there, but women just aren't into it. It's just, it's a rarity.
Yeah.
And so when you concentrate on women, what you end up doing is you just lose twice. The men leave, and then the women never come there to buy the books. And that's what we see now. The Female Furies sells like, what, 8,000?
They don't, the girls aren't really, women just really aren't interested in superheroes. I mean, broadly speaking, Zach, get it?
That's going to get clipped.
That's a dad joke. Yeah, they're just not that interested. I mean, some of them are, and yeah, you should realize that those that are kind of are enjoying the superhero books the way that they've always been. They don't need to be changed to appeal to an audience that's already there. And by the way, changing them anyway is going to probably frighten off or disappoint the audience that actually loyally buys. So here's Jamal Yassim Igle. Jamal Yassim Igle says, this post was probably written by a guy who doesn't know who Ramona Fradon, Jackie Ormez, he's got this whole dictionary of just the exceptions to the rules. Joe Duffy, Anna Senti, Alitha Martinez are either. Boys don't need support getting into mainstream comics.
Can you just imagine an SJW trying to pronounce Alitha Martinez? A name that has a lisp written into it?
Built in, dude. It's built in. I know. Alitha Martinez. You did that on purpose, bigot. Seeley's diagnosis of the comic book industry is nothing new. We pointed out here numerous times that comic book sales are on the decline. They certainly are. Why have boys abandoned comics? Given Seeley's diagnosis, the big question has to be, why have boys abandoned comics and the comic book industry? Common answers will be the rise in video games, offering a different, more interactive form of storytelling, entertainment that can capture storytelling and visuals, the comics offer. However, there have always been other forms of entertainment in the past, and comics were able to thrive. And as Stanley points out in the video below, people will pick up and read a comic book if they're intrigued by the story. Others will point out that the high price point makes it difficult for kids to get into comics. Did you see? I was watching a Yellow Flash video today. I didn't know that Donny Cates' new book, Carnage something. What was it?
Absolute Carnage.
Absolute Carnage. $8 cover price.
Yeah, it's 64 pages, and then the digital version came with 3 versions of every single page plus the script, which I actually thought was pretty cool.
That's okay. All right, that makes sense.
So I got 300 pages digitally for $7.99. But yeah, going to the store and $7.99 for 60 pages of story sounds a little crazy.
Yeah. All right. Others will point out the high price point. Not only does each issue typically sell for $3.99 now, that's rare. The $3.99 is cheap. They're $4.99 now that I can see. But in order to keep up with your favorite characters, you have to purchase at least 2 or 3 books, and that's not including the almost quarterly crossovers from the big 2 in Marvel Comics and DC. Marvel Comics legend Stan Lee. There he is. Look at him. It's quite possible that these young boys no longer find pleasure in the current crop of comics that are being produced. I don't think it's that at all. I just think that they're not aimed at them. They're not, it's like, again, you have to have a missionary out there. You have to have an apostle that actually brings this world to the doors of these boys. You have to. You can't just expect them to find comics when the only place to find them is in specialty comic shops that are in dingy strip malls.
By the way, the least cool thing in the world to, kid growing up is here's a 44-year-old overweight woman with blue hair telling you, Kamala Khan is great. Or a 44-year-old overweight man with blue hair saying the same thing.
Yeah. Skinny.
You guys like Riri Williams? Yeah, we love her.
I refuse to believe anybody really loves these characters. I really think they're doing it out of spite.
They like the idea of it, and they like that it bothers people, and they like being able to use it as a trap. Oh, you don't like Riri Williams? Why is that? And in their head, they're like, I'm going to be able to call this person racist. I'm so excited.
I'm so excited about calling them racist. I guess I would be too. I could get into that. I would like to start calling people names, That might be interesting. It might be fun to call people names. Call people bigot and incel. Oh, piss baby. I'm going to call people piss baby and man baby. How do I do that? How do I become an SJW? New Youngblood publisher trolls Rob Liefeld on Twitter, wants to make him famous. This is a sad story.
Yeah, I did this yesterday. So although people are saying it wasn't that he sold his rights, is that he divvied them up and they ended up with someone else. That sounds like selling to me. But they were saying it's not, he didn't literally sell the rights. He divvied them up in exchange for probably a loan or something like that.
The Rob Liefeld problem. You have 2 icons of the 1990s, Todd McFarlane and Rob Liefeld. And this is something that I think about all the time, because I might be going the Rob Liefeld route in the sense that, and in this case, you would be Todd McFarlane. What did Todd McFarlane do? Did Todd McFarlane hire a whole studio full of people to help him out, to produce a whole lot of books, or did he just go his own way and produce his own comic and kind of say, fuck the world?
Yeah, he just basically did Spawn and Sam and Twitch and Medieval Spawn. He just kind of kept it on one franchise.
Yeah. Rob Liefeld wanted a studio. Like he wanted to have a huge studio full of people making him money. I think about that. I always think, wow, wouldn't it be great to have all caps comics, just blow it out and have 7 or 8 comics that I want to do that are all my ideas. And I'm hiring young artists and writers to work on them.
That just sounds like a disaster to me.
Yes. I think it does sound like a disaster. By the way, it looks like there are only 5 minutes left on your campaign. Hold on a second here.
Oh, geez. Wow. That happened quickly.
Is that right? Is it almost over? 197, 796 at this point. Let's see where we get. Thank you guys for your support. This is gigantic. Obviously, Zach blew his last campaign out of the water. 5 minutes, and then Zach, did you reset it already?
Reset what?
You're ready to go another month, right?
Yeah, I just double checked that it is set for in demand, and it is.
No, not in demand. Like another month of funding.
No.
Oh, you're not doing that. Okay. All right. That's fine. Well, that way you can, of course, you're going to put the comic out. I guess if you just like, move it to in demand, you actually get paid right away.
Exactly. If you delay the campaign, then I wouldn't get that check for 2 months.
Right.
Plus, my whole thing is I want to do a 1-for-1, 1 month to 1 month comparison.
That makes sense, I guess. I don't know. 198. You did it. You breached 198, and you're still. The clock is still ticking. The clock is still ticking. You're number 4, Zach, says Nutty Wolfie. I don't know about that. Are you number 4 or number 3?
Number 3.
Number 3.
Yeah.
Ron Crossman says, "Do it, Zach." Pristine, Texas is excited that you're at 198. I wonder how many people that hate us are watching right now.
Honestly, there's not that many of them. It's just, and it's late.
You think so? I want to think that there are some people right now. There are 1,534 people in the chat. I want to think that there's some people watching right now that are like gritting their teeth. They're angry over this. No?
I can't believe this is 198. Wasn't it like 180 something like 2 hours ago?
Yeah, but you have to believe on magic, Zach.
Sorry, I actually did doubt you. I was like 3,000 and it's not possible.
Nothing can stand in my way. No, you're at 198.81. Is it still going? We're going to keep refreshing this until this dies, and see where we go. Chaos Kid says 3 piss babies. 3 piss babies are watching right now. Oh, yeah, people who may have thumbed down the chat. Well, there are 19 people who thumbed down the chat. So that's 19 piss babies. Absolutely. EVS, have you backed yet? Nope. I didn't back yet.
You don't have to back. I'll send you one if you want.
No, I'm going to back it, but I can't back it because then people see my credit card.
Oh, okay.
Zach already screwed up. I was like showing people the tiers, and I clicked on one of the tiers, and boom, up came my like credit card info and my address. Luckily, it was only the last 4 digits of my credit card and my old address, or I would have completely doxed my new address. I hadn't changed it yet. It sucks. You got to be careful with this. Yeah, people were laughing about me, I think, on Kiwi Farms. Devil Sunburn 99 EVS on the porch. I don't know what that means. Me on the porch. Not if you stop sharing, then back it. I'm not going to stop. I'm doing a show. You got to believe me. I've backed everything Zach has done. I think. I don't know if I backed everything. I don't think I sites. Shit. I didn't do that. Zero Depressive says, "You can trust me, Ethan. I'm a Romanian." I don't know about that. I know V. I don't know if I trusted him. Jabba the Cuck says, "I just refunded Cyberfrog for this." Oh, great.
I thought they used to do a countdown of like how many minutes left. It's just doing 1 hour's left. Are we going to get embarrassed and there's actually 1 more hour?
No, because you said, well, somebody's looking at a timer, right?
It's supposed to be 11:59 in the West Coast. That's right now, right?
Yeah, it's 2:59 here on the East Coast. So I don't know. It should stop any second now. 198, 111 is pretty good. That's a pretty good total.
Yeah, no, it's 11:59 p.m. in the East Coast, so it should be
1 more minute. They're saying 1 more minute. Oh, there it is. Ended 198. We did it. 198, 111. That is great.
In demand store. Awesome. 198, 111.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks for all the help. That's insane.
Well, it's my pleasure. I like helping people. I do like helping my friends and crushing my enemies. It's just a hobby of mine. Let me see where Cyberfrog Blood Honey is, and I think we probably picked up a little support during that time. We did 242, 676. Thank you guys who have been supporting Cyberfrog Blood Honey. I want to get this to 250 when I end it. Nice.
Oh, definitely, yeah, definitely.
We'll see if I can get there. All right, let me read some super chats. Do you mind, Zach?
Oh no, go ahead, definitely.
A lot of them will be aimed at you. That's why I'm, A lot of people have things they want to say to you, things they've always wanted to say to you, but we're afraid. Now's their chance through the form of super chat. Wow, it's flying. People are congratulating you. Everyone's excited. Yeah. Okay, so Matt Becker says, quick point of privilege. Let's please keep the super chats to a minimum. D Loves All Things says, Ethan's poor elbow can't support all the weight. Yeah, I've got my elbow pads on. It really hurts. Something happened. I think I have, what do you get when you bust your elbow? Yeah, it's like tennis elbow. I got to go get it fixed. Zebulon Pike says, Richard, you've done so much for all of us. Thanks.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it's true. Joseph Hottendorf Jr. says, go purchase God King people. Dancing Mike says, remember to buy Jawbreakers and Starblades. I did. I gotta get Kyle on this channel. I hope so. Memology 101's here. I love Memology. He's great. He says, EVS, come to Honduras again. Cons have been boring. Yeah, I visited Honduras once. Your country is, in parts, absolutely beautiful. And they took me to the best parts of Honduras. And by the way, your conventions are insane. Conventions are insane, Zach, in Honduras. Like, they're way different than American conventions. They bring you out on a stage and there's an audience. It looks like American Idol. And they have a microphone. They go, ladies and gentlemen, Ethan Van Sciver. And you come out and on the stage with a big, huge, display behind you. And there's a crowd of people screaming their heads off. And it's like, boy, this is an ego trip. Everyone should do this.
Well, that's what always happened with the big bands from the 70s and 80s. They'd have their big concert always like in Central South America in some stadium so big that like you could see the curvature of the earth when it went towards the back.
Yeah. They get like excited. Like Hondurans are really, they love comics. I was signing a bunch of stuff that they don't have a lot of comics there. I brought a stack of comics and gave them out. But it was really great. It was a good time. Pugnant says, hey, the first time catching the stream live. What's up? Kanan White is here. He says, hey, Zach, EVS, you are an artist first. You have to draw. That's who you are, man. Beyond the money, it's in you to storytell, man. You inspire, bro. I know. I feel beaten down sometimes. That's the thing. I gotta kind of I need to pick me up too. I can't be the one picking everybody up all the time. Sometimes people have to look out for me and say, what about Ethan? How are you feeling? Instead of always using me as a punch press, Zach.
Yeah, so you look particularly thin today.
Thanks. I know you're lying. I ate Arby's today. Gabriel Torres says, what's the current ET on Cyberfrog? As I said in my new update, August 15th is when everything's printed. Then they've got to assemble the cover and the chromium cover and the guts of the book. I don't know how long that takes, a couple days. They get shipped to me. I got to sign them, send them out. I don't know what the current ETA is, but I do have that hard date of August 15th, and that's what I can share with you. Agha is a new member. Thank you for joining. JGAT says, Zach's video saved me 2 years ago after my divorce. That was a nice super chat. Casey Jones joined the channel. Thank you for doing that. Sulfur X-Men says, just remembered to pick up the JB variant. Already got the EVS cover. And it reminded me to pick up Malin's Graveyard Shift. Oh, that's good. I got to get Malin on here too and just do a thing for him. Malin's a good guy. Malin is so Comicsgate, man. Malin is I don't know. He's a steady guy. I really like John.
Yeah, the Graveyard Shift is doing amazing. It's doing better than the first one.
Yeah,
and that's an awesome trend to see. He's great with everyone. He's really big up on the extras and the form factors. He sent me he was the first one I got trading cards from.
Raging Golden Eagle says, Devil Dog Slice of Life dating story when?
Probably never. I would say that's going to happen.
Sulfur X-Men says, the Donny Cates thing had everyone believing that me and Ethan are the same person on Twitter. Thus, I thank myself for giving me this super chat. Yeah. A lot of people thought that Sulfur X-Men, Sulfur X, was one of my alt accounts. And the thing is, Zach, I do have an alt account. You know what it is?
No.
It's Ethan Van Sciver. That's all it is. I have two accounts, and they're both like, I'm hiding in plain sight. I have my, Comic Artist Pro Secrets at Ethan Van Sciver, and then I have Ethan Van Sciver at Ethan Sciver, and they're both me. You know, it's basically, I have the Ethan Skyver Twitter account and don't sign up for it. The reason why I have it is because there are certain people who look for my attention, and they're hoping that I'm going to retweet them or attack them or whatever it is that I'm going to do that's going to get them attention with my, you know, what, 37,000 followers. Bad news, asshole. I have an account with just 2 followers on it. So you're still going to get hell from me and no attention for it. What do you think of that, Zach?
Yeah, there's some people just doing things just for, you know, negative reinforcement. It's kind of just childish. It's like, come on.
I totally admit that I'm childish in doing that too, but I don't have any other people. Like, don't you think Ethan has 15 other alts? How much time do you think I spend on Twitter? And I already spend way too much just as myself.
Because the people who say that have 15 alts.
Oh, they're projecting.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah, I don't have 15. I have 1 alt, 1 regular account. So I'll be clear with that. If you see at Ethan Skyver, it's me, Ethan Van Skyver, and I'm doing it to make fun of Tim Doyle. Downshift says, I want to buy God King with both covers. Is that not an option? I'm in Canada and won't order each separately. Is the 2-pack both the same cover?
Yeah, it's both the EVS cover. And that just has to do with, you know, how he set up the campaign. It's Indiegogo is really great, but for mid-campaign changes, not as good.
You might want to consider, doing it. Adding the 2-pack, you know, both covers, you know, that just makes sense. Alex Finney says, hatred is the devil's cocaine. Fezzlebug says, Zach, if I order the 2-pack, can I get both covers? See, people are going to ask that. Professor Geek says, congrats on the campaign, Zach. I can't wait to receive, read, and review God King. Plebeian says, hi, EVS and Zach. I'm a Brit. SJWs have taken down the big 2. UK, EU books thrive using a great graphic novel magazine format. My friends and me still have 2000 AD subs. Interesting. Geek Assault says, just back Jawbreakers, and I received my copy of Cyberpunk Vampirella last Friday. EVS, can struggling comic anime manga reviewer get a shout out, a channel shout out? That's Geek Assault. Absolutely. Go subscribe to Geek Assault. Keep fighting the good fight, fellas. Let's see. I read those 2. Jerkmonger, hi, Elliot. Yeah, he backed. Pixel Traders Cover Crashers is on Indiegogo. Says, go Zach Go. Lawbreakers is featured in Cover Crashers. So he made fun of you with Lawbreakers. He did a parody card of you. Comic Book Bob says, Ed Ben. Okay, we read that one. Hentai Lord says, Comic Artist Pro Secrets. Ask Zach about Berserk. Is it worth a review?
I'm pretty sure I did one. It's good. It's a manga and an anime.
Omega Shenron says, now that I back God King, I want to read Lost Souls. Where can I get a copy?
Unfortunately, that's sold out.
eBay.
Yeah.
You know. Casey Jones 89 says, is there a perk to get Lost Souls in God King?
There was, but it sold out of the Lost Souls aspect.
That's why you got to back these things soon. I mean, you know, I'm printing Cyberfrog and I'm printing a certain number, and that's it. Holdy Line says, Hail Caesar, got my Vampirella all signed yesterday. Uncle E, thank you very much, as Bree would say. It was awesome. Don't worry, Zach, we got you.
Thank you.
Magoli67 says, for Zach, for Luna, for Splato, huzzah from Big K.
Thanks.
Tom King says, just want to congratulate you guys for working around the influx of SJWs who are ruining entertainment. You are the future. El Gargoyle is a new member. Thanks for joining. Whale C1 says, fun stream. Kanan White says, stay the course, guys. You're blazing a trail. Clint Johnson says, would have backed earlier, but I was listening to the stream in the shower. Congrats, Zach. Magoli67 says, EVS, what pie does Cyberfrog like best? That's easy, chicken pot. Casey Jones 89 says, is the 2-book perk both Lost Souls and God King? I think that's been answered. Yes, it was, but Lost Souls is sold out. Matt Hayes says, thanks for being our boy Zach. Thanks for not letting success lead the political lectures or saving our souls. Comicsgate happened because we want good comics. Saul for X-Men says, DC makes 370 million gross, a lot less net, right? Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, that's scary. Dean Han 87 says, add Ironsight's 2 preview in the book as a 200K goal. You want to do that? I mean,
it's almost a moot point. By the time it goes to press, Ironsights 2 will be complete. So there is a preview for the book after Ironsights 2, Desolation Wave.
Unhinged Crank says, congrats, Zach. Cecil says, Zach, if you get to 200K, don't forget to thank Doug. John Gora says, Zach, that was mean, Cecil. Zach, I loved your Ice Pirates review. Any more old film reviews coming?
Yeah, I think I'm going to be doing Time Bandits soon.
Oh, wow. Techno Jr. says, just backed for main cover and Kyle Ritter variant. Speaking of Kyle, remember to give a shout out for Starblades. And
absolutely, yeah.
Starblades looks great, guys. Back Starblades. I'm going to have Kyle on now that I've got this new StreamYard thing. I can start doing live streams again. Scott Knox says, hey, Ethan, I'm waiting for the Cyberfrog Chromium. Oh, I answered that one. Cecil says, start chilling that beer. Time to suck down a Wade. Turns out I'm not going to have to. Asmodeus, Aziel, Hades says, how are you doing tonight, Ethan? I love to see Jersey men doing well. I live in Thoroughfare. I would love to talk to you about the comic you are working on, Cyberfrog, Anthropomorphism Hero. I reached out before about monetary support. Okay, I don't remember. Reach out to me again if you're in Jersey. What do you want to? You just want to chat? Kanan White says Wizworld actually connected me into the comic industry as a professional. Man, and what an era! It was a great time, dude. I miss that. Lando Lake says Wizard Magazine taught me how to draw, a huge part of my childhood. Cecil says bring back big tits and the boys will come back. King KDI says bring back X-Men swimsuit edition, no back fat. Andrew says in order for comics to compete with movies and video games, they have to bring back crazy art styles similar to the 90s. Arathane says I want Vampy cover. How do we get it? I'm going to launch it tomorrow. I'm going to launch the new Vampy cover tomorrow. And I'm going to do a bunch of things. I made a deal with Dynamite. I bought a bunch of their Vampirella standees. So I'm going to offer those two guys as well. And they're comic racks. You know, they're cardboard comic racks.
What is this cover? What's going to be the interior?
Vampirella #1.
Awesome.
Yeah. You know, so that'll drive.
It's not like Three Stooges meet Ernie Kovacs on the inside. It's actually
it's Vampy. It's Vampy #1.
Awesome.
The SJWs, when they heard about Vampirella and the Reanimator #1, my first one, they laughed at me and said, "Ha, you can't get the Vampirella #1." So I went, I'm gonna go get the Vampirella #1, and I'm doing it entirely. Zach, I'm doing this one out of spite, okay? But we're gonna see if we can make this one work too. I think we will.
What if? I mean, I'm assuming it's already been done and everything, but what if you went for Vampirella --
Well, that's
the interior.
Yeah, that is I see what you're saying. That is a conversation that I actually had with Dynamite the other day. I said, Vampirella 2 is going to drop off precipitously, and maybe I want to do a cover for that too. But I don't, what am I doing my own Vampirella covers all the time? It's not necessarily what I want to spend my time doing. I want to kind of do Cyberfrog stuff. Let's see. Time Code Mechanics says open in another browser and prevent doxing yourself. Unhinged Crank says congrats, Zach, all on your own.
Well, not on my own, but thanks for the congratulations.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, none of us can take credit for any of this stuff on our own. We can't do any of this without you guys. I mean, we have, an enormous following. You guys are loyal supporters and fans. And every single time that we launch one of these campaigns or anytime we try to do anything, I always say it is like falling backwards and hoping you guys catch us. And Zach just did it. And you caught him again. It's nice to know you're there, so thanks for that. He says, sure, stab Ticos, but melt Barbies is too much. That's for the Rainbow Root. Damascus Steel says, Comicsgate is the best creative pushback against the arts becoming more bland and censorious. True old comics and indie spirit. Thanks, guys. Rocket P. Ship says, hey, Ethan and Zach, I want to back the book, but I'm moving in the next 2 months. Can I change my shipping address?
It's going to ship before the next 2 months. It's going to ship at the end of next month.
Yeah, but in any case, like if it were a concern, you can always change your address. Go into your order, change your address up until it says fulfilled. You can do that. So
yeah.
Damascus still says, Zach, anyway, I can send you a copy of Uncanny X-Men 173 to do a Marvel before SJW. If so, how?
What is that issue? That's a big issue, right?
Is that Rogue? That sounds like it's not the first appearance of Rogue, but is that Rogue as an X-Men, or am I remember? It's a Paul Smith issue. I don't know. You don't have a P.O. box, do you?
No, I do. It's it's a return address when you order a book. On the sticker it says the PO box.
Yeah. Sammy Reese says, will you reprint the OG Zashi poster? Mine has stains on it. Don't ask how they got there.
I have a couple, like 100 or so extra. So usually when someone says, hey, you forgot X, Y, or Z, I just put kind of everything that I have that's extra, and sometimes a comic too, so I can get the media mail rates. Throw that in there.
Hentai Lord says Ethan would do a review on Berserk. I don't, you know what? I don't do too many comic book reviews because it still feels weird to me. I think once a little more time has gone by, I feel like, being a comic book professional within the mainstream and just only recently has afforded me privilege, and I still abide by some of the professional courtesy, that you would have by not commenting on other people's artwork. I'm just too close to it. Give me a little time, let a little distance go by, and then I might start reviewing other people.
I don't think that's ever something you would need to do, though. You got your own thing, and it would be kind of weird.
It doesn't
be like, hey, here's the latest issue of Avengers. What? Seems like a step down for you to do something like that.
Well, I'm just having fun on YouTube, Zach. I mean, I don't mind. I'm currently building Lego sets, on YouTube. So it's not like it's a step down. Everything on YouTube is about fun, but it's about what I'm comfortable doing. And at the moment, I don't feel comfortable reviewing comics, at least current ones. And if that changes, I'll do it. But I don't feel it now. We'll see how I feel in a year or two. Rob J says, why can't our comic industry take cues from Japan's? SJW bums are trying to invade them and are being laughed out of the room. Vince Rush Art says, ya boy. Unhinged Crank says, I was kidding. Of course, it was a group effort. And Adam M just joined the channel. And thank you guys. We just go back up and just look real quick again at Jawbreakers God King and see where we're at. It's 198,721. So Zach, you're going to wake up to being over 200,000.
That's awesome. It's incredible. Thank you so much.
Thanks everyone for watching. Appreciate you. Really do. I mean, thank you guys. Thank you guys for handing us another big success, which is what you guys do every single time, that we come out with something. And, this book looks great. Zach put his heart into it. The art looks fantastic. I think you guys are going to be really, really happy with the end result. And I'm going to do my cover. So you guys are going to have, something else to kind of look at. And if you haven't backed yet, maybe that'll help you push it towards backing it. Zach, thanks for being on my channel. Every time you raise the IQ twice over of these live streams. So I really appreciate your being here, pal.
Oh, thank you so much. I was literally going to go to sleep at like 11:45. It's like, yeah, 188. That's nice. It's good.
You'll sleep better. You'll sleep better like this.
Yeah.
But
yeah, thank you so much.
Hey, no problem. All right, everybody, we'll see you again tomorrow. Thanks again. If you haven't back now. Let's push this thing to 200 overnight, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.